You are live. Please unmute.
Microphones are now live for meetings total. They're trying to make a commissioner.
I'll talk about it anyway. It's one of those things that it's just gonna take. Good morning.
Commissioner Lautner, could you lead us in the pledge in a moment of silence, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kramer.
I'm here.
Commissioner O'Rourke.
Present.
Commissioner Rexroth.
Present.
Chairman Russell.
Here.
Commissioner Ross.
Present.
Commissioner Algar. Commissioner Lautner.
Present. All present.
Thank you. We now have a proposed agenda. Do we have any late additions? Commissioner Olga.
I would make a motion to add as a late agenda item about a possible MPSC grant. MPSC grant opportunity.
Should we put that at number 14 if we approve that? Any other additions?
I would like a letter of support for Beta. Grand County. Right, and for Grand Traverse County, the view configuration. Get better language in that.
Number 15, if we have that, what she's proposing is the Beta board has asked for a letter of support for the agreement that we have in place. Any other additions? Discussion. All those in support?
Oh, what is MPSC? I'm sorry.
Michigan Public Service Commission. Thank you.
I need a motion.
I move to approve the minutes or the agenda as amended.
Support.
All those in support of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved, 7-0. We have an agenda. This time we have our communications and presentations, and we'll start with the administrator update. Good morning.
Good morning, commissioners and guests. Just a quick few items. Some of them have been mentioned, so we'll hear more about them in just a few minutes. Just want to offer a couple of kudos. I'd like to start out my comments with thanking staff, and I do want to thank our HR director and all of our employees who participate, our benefit vendors who participated in our employee benefit open enrollment last week. I think we had a great turnout. We just had one little hiccup, and that was on Friday morning with Wayne Blask and Gary O'Connor. I want to give them shout outs, our maintenance team, who desperately tried to rectify the sprinkler issue. We had an alarm going off for about an hour. We had a full government center with court cases upstairs, the health department downstairs, their annual meeting, our benefits coordination going on. So it was quite hectic. Seems there was an air leak in the piping in the attic for our sprinkler system. So after an hour, they were able to get it shut off, but I've been informed that this is an issue that may continue to happen as the pipes are aging. So just notifying the board that this may be an issue that we need to address in the future. That's the new grounds. So more on that in the future.
So before you move on, so fire alarms going off, what was protocol? Was protocol followed? How does that all work?
Well, that's an interesting perspective because my understanding is that there are no SOPs, no standard operating procedures on how we handle these things. So I was immediately down at the panel asking what the danger issue was. We confirmed quickly that there was no imminent danger. I noticed in my email that I sent out, in my haste, put eminent. So spell check does not correct that, but regardless, I did get notification out to all the department heads, notifying them that there was no imminent danger, and confirmed that, and the fire department was called to not respond, because this was a spring question. So we are working on that, in terms of making sure that we have protocols going forward. In terms of a couple project updates, the lower level health department construction started yesterday. So you may hear a little bit of banging and things going on. So that is in progress with, and the subcontractor meetings have been set for the following months so that we have report outs with the goal of a March 31st completion for that project. You did hear the suggestion to add beta to the agenda. We received communication from Kelly Dunham, Executive Director of Beta, and their legal counsel asking Leelanau County to take action. Again, I won't preempt that anymore, just let you know that that's forthcoming. The POAM will conduct a hearing next Thursday, December 14th, regarding the current dispute that is being managed by legal counsel Cole Stoker and Toski on that matter. I have also received communication from Cole Stoker to authorize a waiver of conflict and consent to represent regarding inter-county district court operating agreement for the counties of Grand Traverse County, Leelanau County, and Antrim County. As you may remember in the past, when Cole Stoker represents a neighboring county, or we have agreements that sometimes may create an opportunity for conflict, that they ask for approval for us to kind of waive this ability for Cole Stoker to represent. I have received a call from my counterpart in Antrim County, the administrator, and he's been directed by their board to research the feasibility of Antrim County separating from both the 13th Circuit Court and the 86th District Court. We don't know if this is viable, it's just in research, but I just want to let the board know that this resolution and signing this, we have implications down the road for that. So just typically the administrator has signed that. So I may be seeking a little bit more direction from the board on that forthcoming. The Traverse City Cherry Capital Airport has requested a meeting with Chairman Wessel and myself in regards to discuss a zoning ordinance limiting the height and structures of objects in the vicinity of Cherry Capital Airport. And so this is an airport approach plan that they're working on. So we'll be having communication, I anticipate, within the next 2 weeks regarding that. We'll report back to the board on any proposed actions. You also heard a motion to add to the agenda the Clean Energy Projects Work Group of the Energy Futures Task Force has identified what they believe to be an excellent grant opportunity from the Michigan Public Service Commission, Renewable Energy and Electrification Infrastructure Enhancement and Development Grant. I will defer any further comment or discussion on that, but I'm willing to assist as the board directs. And then the MSU agreement for extension services. This is something typically that the administrator has signed in the past. It is just our county agreement for the fiscal year 2024. So I do have that agreement, just notifying the board that we'll be moving forward with that as we have historically in the past. 2 upcoming meetings, end of year special session. That's hard to say, end of year special session, typically held the last week of December. We do need to create a date and get signatures for moving that forward. And then the 2024 organizational meeting is set for Tuesday, January 2nd at 9 a.m. to address board rules, chair and vice chair positions, and any other items that we have to take part at that time. So I think that concludes my administrative report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? We now have the Substance Misuse Coalition. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. I'm Becca Tenbrink, and this is Audrey Sharp, and we are co-chairs of the Leelanau County Substance Misuse Prevention Coalition. And with us on camera today, we have Ruth from Prevention Network. Ruth, did you want to get us started?
I would love to. Good morning. I wanted to be present with you in person. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make that happen today. My name is Ruth Schwendinger from Prevention Network. We're a statewide nonprofit based out of Lansing, but I'm joining you today from the Kalamazoo area. And I wanted to express gratitude to the commissioners, to the Board of Commissioners, and the staff that have supported them over the last a couple of years as Prevention Network has administered a grant of about $100,000 to this substance misuse prevention group. They're one of 59 different community-based groups working to address the root causes of substance misuse across Michigan. And it's been my pleasure and my privilege to be able to work alongside, being able to enhance the work they've done to empower youth through evidence-based decision-making, which started with an epidemiological study, which I believe was the first ever conducted in Leelanau County around substance misuse. So I just wanted to express gratitude and thanks to this board as we're looking to transfer the fiduciary for this grant at this point. So I just wanted to be here and say thank you.
And Ruth actually generously sent a certificate for the commissioners, so we just wanted to present that. Thank you all.
Thank you.
So in your packets, I believe you should have this, and it gives an outline for what we have done this year within the Substance Misuse Prevention Coalition. We are excited to announce that all four schools will be participating in MiFi this year. That hasn't been done since 2018. So we're very excited about that and to gather some more data that will continue to steer our work in prevention. Also, we did some trainings this year, which was pretty incredible, wonderful for both the larger Leelanau County and then also within our coalition for us to better understand the work we're doing and how to kind of focus in. And then we wanted to highlight specifically our agencies represented. I think it's really important to note that this work can only be done through collaboration of so many generous people who are dedicating their time and energy, both professionally and some personally, to this work. So that's a little bit about this year in a nutshell. Audrey, I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to highlight.
I did want to point out prom, which was supported through our budget, and there were questions beforehand about attendance, and so we did get that final number. It's about 228 students across Leelanau County in attendance, which we were really excited about. So this is just, as Becca said, a highlight reel. It's not everything that we've done, but it's what we can fit on 3 pages anyways. And we're excited with what the fiduciary transfer for the C3 grant will make possible with taking action in the next few months while that grant runs out. So.
Any questions for them? I know I continue to hear from the schools how much they value your presence and your involvement. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I have a question. It seems to me that you are working on perhaps some rebranding or titling. You were using substance abuse, substance abuse prevention, it's a logical thing. Substance misuse prevention sounds backwards to me. So I don't think you're trying to prevent. You are trying to prevent misuse, but this almost sounds to me like you're trying to, I don't know, it just seems to me like it should be a slash in there. That would just be more logical.
So this will, thank you for that input. This is not going to be our title. We are in a rebranding process. Misuse has become the more common term to replace abuse. Abuse for some prevention specialists feels stigmatizing, and misuse feels like a better way to cover it. But this is not our final new title, and we'll be working with a consultant to come up with something that explains what we do a little bit better.
Anything else? Yes. When?
I'd like to confirm that that's what the whole field is doing, is renaming themselves. Thank you for what you do. I know it's a work of the heart. and you truly, truly reaching out and helping young people. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
We now have an opportunity for public comment. We thank the public for attending our meetings. The public comment at the beginning of the meeting is restricted to items on our agenda. You are welcome. We'd love to hear from you. We have 3 minutes allocated for anybody that would like to speak. So if you'd like to make public comment, please raise your hand. Nobody does, then we'll feel like you don't care.
We know.
no, they trust us here.
Thank you very much for attending. Any commissioner comment? I have just one. I brought my $20 for the staff holiday party next week for the meat tray. If you typically we the board buys the meat tray for the commission or for the staff. And just in the next week or so, if you want to, the Laurel is yours. Thank you. And please come. When is the
The
15th?
thank you.
Downstairs, it's always a nice activity. I tell you, and because you donate to the meat tray, you don't have to bring anything. We now are into our action items, and at this time we have Matt here from the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Group. Thank you very much for coming, Matt.
Thank you for having me. Alrighty, I'll set myself a little timer so I don't abuse it. I will make sure that I stay within my little allotment here. But no, thank you for having me. My name is Matt Colson. I'm here representing the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority, MMRMA for short, even though that's still a mouthful. So anyways, thank you for having me. I'm here I'm not going to regurgitate everything that's in your packet I sent over to you, but reinforce and thank you for your continued membership. It's been a partnership since 1985. Leelanau County was one of our founding members, if you will, when commercial insurance kind of got very expensive. They cut costs, they increased costs, they cut coverages. And so in a nutshell, that's when the MMRMA was formed, to make municipal insurance and risk management affordable for municipalities. For obvious reasons, there's risks in municipalities that don't exist elsewhere. And so the MMRMA was born, and here we are today, going on 39 years with you all. So again, thank you for your partnership and membership. This sheet here just gives, for any new commissioners, just gives a breakdown as to what we do. We like to call ourselves a risk management partner first. We like to prevent losses before we have to pay for them. So we have a RAP grant program, which you guys have been very active in. We give out at least $1.75 million a year to our members in grants to prevent losses. So anything from cameras to tasers for law enforcement, to polo wrap. So you name it, if it can prevent a loss, we will do our best to fund a grant for whatever equipment or training that your staff and may need. So this year, we also we're a nonprofit organization. So one of the benefits of that is we don't give our money to share. Any excess funds we have, it's not going to shareholders. It goes directly back to our membership, and that is a huge perk of being a member of the MMRMA. So this sheet that's in your little packet shows what the county will be getting back this year in what we call our net asset distribution program. There was $29.7 million given back to our members this year, and the big multiplying factors of how much counties or municipalities or our members get back is how long you've been a member. So you guys being a member for going on 39 years, your multiplier there is maxed out. I mean, you guys gain everything you can from being that. How much you contribute in your premium, we call it a contribution. So Leelanau County gives more than a township, so you get a bigger piece of the pie. And then losses. Your loss history is very good with us. We're workers' compensation. So just in the back of your head, we don't do, we do your law enforcement liability, general liability, your property, et cetera. So yeah, your losses are good. And so this year's net asset distribution coming back to you upon renewal on January 1st is going to be $128,357. So that's very good. That's over about 50% of the contribution for this upcoming renewal, which we can touch on here in a second. But you guys also got $19,208 for a BIS video recording equipment project and $3,055 for a staff and command project. So those are the grants that I referenced earlier, that you all take advantage of. The money is there, and like I said, we rather pay it out to prevent a loss as opposed to having a loss. And your loss history is very good. So any questions before? Yeah.
If I may, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just want to reiterate that I think we have over $30,000 in current requests out for RAP, and also the new grant for training and education.
Yep.
I think there were some requests for that. So this is a really wonderful relationship that we have with MMRMA. And we also have a current court case, I believe, that's being reviewed and being supported by MMRMA. And that's something that they do for us as well as part of our service.
Risk, I'm sorry, we're using acronyms and that's really not fair. So it's risk avoidance.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, RAP is risk avoidance program. Yep. Sorry, I apologize for that. And there's CAP grants too, which is a certification program for training for fire, EMS, police, etc.
My question, she covered some of it. Are we requesting enough grants? If we were to request more, would we get more? Yeah,
I mean, if the funding is there in our fund, we give it out. Yeah, yep. If it goes dry, it never has. Then 1.75 consistently gets we're governed by a board. We have an executive director that's appointed by the board. They and a finance council or finance committee. So yes, if there's funding out there and you apply, and if you can justify it preventing a third party loss or property damage loss, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to get that funding.
Wishful thinking our sprinkler systems. That's preventing a loss.
Yeah.
Very possible.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a standard grant. I don't think sprinklers are, but if you can justify, we have a membership committee that votes on any non-standard grants. So it's not me making that decision. It is a committee strictly of your peers that'll vote on anything that's not on our standard grant list. So, yeah.
So you were just talking about our loss history, and I don't think we've had any big claims since the one we had in the park. Was that rolled off now? Was that over 3 years ago?
I did bring a loss one with me, and I can send a full one over to Deb or whoever afterwards. So yeah, usually it may be closed. I can look now or later. But nonetheless,
Can't think of anything. I think that was our last
big claim. Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, you haven't had anything what I have here mind-boggling that's like going to affect your contribution for years to come.
That's good.
Yeah.
Don't want to be on the radar.
No, I know. It's impressive, truly. Any other questions on that portion of it? All right, and then quickly, again, I won't regurgitate everything, but this right here is one of the big reasons I'm here today is the renewal coverage proposal for the January 1 renewal. So there, as far as coverage goes, and your retentions and your deductibles, nothing has changed from year to year. You do carry a $15 million per occurrence liability limit, and the key there is per occurrence. And so if there's, several $15 million losses, we would pay per occurrence. It's not like you have $15 million through the year, and once you hit that 15 million, then we're pulling from somewhere else. So that's the most MMRMA will deploy. It's you guys being the county, the size that you are with the operations that you have, that makes sense that you carry the $15 million limit. And then as far as the property and crime goes, you have little 40 million and some change of property coverage for the buildings, the contents, and the list of those is in the back of this proposal, and the various buildings and towers, et cetera, that we are covering on the county's behalf as far as the insurance goes. So is there any?
Mr.
I have questions. I just much as it pains me to utter the words, waive our policy and bid requirements. There are certain relationships where that's warranted. So I would move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners waive its policy on bid requirements that approve the 2023 renewal for property and casualty insurance between Leelanau County and the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority. The amount of $249,058 funds to come from 830 865-954.000.
Any discussion?
I just have a question. The budgeted amount was 238,000. The contract, this is 249. Again, why the discrepancy?
The proposed budget or the adopted budget for 2024 is the rolled forward figure from 23, because we didn't know this figure when you adopted the budget. So I'll put a note in my file that we'll have a budget amendment for 2024.
Thank you.
Any other? We have a motion on the floor. All those in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. 7-0.
It hurt.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time. Thank you.
Next on our agenda, I think Sharon, this is yours. Sharon Greenland, and then we have a transfer of fiduciary responsibility. This is a follow-up to some action we took earlier this summer.
Yes, so hi, good morning. Sharon Breland. Today I'm here as the Leelanau County Prevention Specialist from Catholic Human Services Up North Prevention. Audrey, you already know Audrey, of course. She is the manager of the grant in question, and each of these grants requires a listed prevention specialist, and I am the listed prevention specialist. So yes, over the summer, we had a meeting with Deb and Kathy, and our understanding was that the county would love to have somebody else become fiduciary for this grant for the rest of the cycle, which is 3 months from now. March 5th is the end of the grant cycle. What we are asking today, we don't have a document yet, but the first part of our request is, would you please make a motion to approve transfer or ending the fiduciary relationship for this grant. Technically, this grant will then end. We will get paperwork agreeable to the county, mutually agreeable. Ruth is actually going to prepare the paperwork once she has evidence of your motion. And then a whole new grant number will be issued to start the new relationship with Catholic Human Services. So that's the first part of the request. I don't know if you want me to pause there before we go on to the second half. Yeah, if you would help me. So it's only 3 more months. Are you going to get another?
No, it will be completed at that point.
Yeah, this is the second grant cycle. Yeah, this is the second grant cycle. We do not think there will be another cycle. But this is the county, and maybe Deb would like to speak to it, is just not feeling like being the fiduciary for this is the best fit for the county. Maybe it's not really a county function. Do you want to?
Well, I think we've talked about this before from the standpoint that we don't typically manage grants for nonprofit entities, but because of the issue, the board in the past has obviously supported this, but we have an opportunity to make a transition into an entity that makes sense and that has the staff and actually is already doing a lot of these things. We don't currently have staff or a department or an entity that deals with this type of an issue. So to make sure that they have the support and I think the guidance that they need, it seems to make a lot of sense on behalf of the county to make this transition.
And frankly, also,
I was just trying to understand.
we can also spend the money a little bit more nimbly this way, because right now, every time we would like to expend some of the funds, we need to get on a board agenda. You guys need to approve it. So that puts at least a month delay into the works. When we move to Catholic Human Services, we will be able to go ahead and spend the money as specified in the grant and get it reimbursed. And it just cuts the red tape breakdown. Not that we don't love you, but
Again, this is 3 months left.
yes,
Grant, it's not gonna be,
yes.
so why the urgency to do it with just 3 months left? I guess I don't understand that. I think I could just say that this has been an ongoing discussion. I think we're just at a point now where we have all of the parties and all of the processes in place, and it seems like it would make sense for a new year. You know, I will also mention that Laurel has been very instrumental in providing support and arranging meetings and notices, and as we all know, she will be retiring, and so the responsibility for this may actually fit more appropriately with the recommendation.
And any future grants that we might go for, then we won't even be considered as the fiduciary. So it's setting the stage. Understood, thank you.
This has been vetted through finance, right, Kathy?
Yes, I think that what Sharon brought up about the nimbly, you know, to make it a bit more user-friendly for the distribution of those funds. And I think a year ago, there was unspent money in this grant and it rolled forward. And so we kind of kept it going, but you know, it is terminating, and this is just something to tidy up our situation. We're pass through basically, and it makes it very cumbersome for the applicant or the application of those grant funds. So.
Commissioner Kramer.
I totally understand the nimble aspect of what you're trying to do. I am wondering if this will limit the amount of grant funding that you are able to receive because you're no longer with the county because you're government. And so, okay.
Shouldn't.
There is a proposed motion on page 28, Commissioner Elgar.
I would move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners approve terminating the existing grant from Prevention Network pursuant to receipt of an acceptable termination letter rescinding the grant contract and releasing the county from the responsibility of any further employees.
Order.
Any further discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0, thank you.
Thanks for what you do.
And as you go forward to identify more grants, we love what you're doing and come to us for letters of support and endorsements.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So can we ask you the second half?
Yeah, I know, you weren't done.
Yeah.
So is this gonna be more of an ongoing relationship with Catholic Human Services? Because they have support, so they do this.
It could be. We're absolutely open to that. Yes, and we do that for many other coalitions. So, yeah, it definitely can be. And as I mentioned earlier, when we were talking budget stuff, the LCFCC is also willing to perform some of that service. In the case of this particular grant, it makes sense for Catholic Human Services to do it because ultimately this money is federal money, which comes with vast reporting requirements. And we already are the fiduciary for this particular grant for a number of other entities. But there may be times when using LCFCC will be better. Leelanau County Family Coordinating Council, for those of you who don't know the acronym, because we ourselves have a fiduciary relationship with United Way, and we're only charged 1% of funds. Catholic Human Services, excuse me, standard rate is 10%, which is pretty standard. But if we can have 9% more money to spend as a rule, I'd say we probably want to do that. And they're already a 501c3, so for some things, they may not need a fiduciary at all. So,
Whatever works.
yeah.
We have
Exactly.
a second item on the agenda.
We do. So now that we're officially in a gray area because we need to get the appropriate paperwork signed, but as you noted, we do have 3 months left to spend the money. The clock is ticking. The coalition has prepared a request for proposals for branding and messaging services. So not only to figure out what a really good name would be for us that isn't 5 words long, and doesn't confuse people between abuse or misuse, or expresses the fact that a lot of substance misuse prevention is not even just teaching about drugs themselves, but building other protective factors and capabilities. plus just getting some, a messaging campaign out, similar to what the Substance Free Coalition of Northwest Michigan is doing, or what the tribe is doing. They've got some fabulous billboards out right now. I hope you've seen them. So we have prepared a request for proposals to get a marketing firm to do that work for us. And that was an item that was specifically line itemed in the grant that you are now passing along. Just in case, so that we're sure that we're covered, belt and suspenders, as I said, I'm wondering if you would approve the distribution of this RFP so that we can get it right out on the streets ASAP.
Yes.
There's not a motion.
No, oh, someone makes a motion that we address it.
No. Yeah.
It was
There's not something
There's
in
not
there,
one
you could do that.
provided. Oh,
You
I
could
just wanted
rename
to
it.
chat for a minute.
Oh, that's fine too. Yeah.
Oh, good. So I mean, the only thing that I would, because we've discussed this before, and I mean, I've worked in branding and marketing, and I always, there's a bit of me that, yes, it's important. Yes, I think, but I ultimately feel like if you guys can throw in some extra stuff for your RFP, like, because a lot of this stuff is so simple right now, like you could definitely do it yourself. And so if you wanted to get a little more bang for your buck, maybe throw in, I don't know, you guys want some videos or something like into the RFP, like, because.
So that would actually be part of the messaging component. We expect that the messaging component will be most of the expense, not the branding.
Okay.
If it helps at all, this is basically the same RFP that was constructed and used for the Substance Free Coalition of Northwest Michigan to hire PB&J Marketing to do our logo, name, campaign, all that fun stuff. I definitely hear what you're saying. And I will say, boy, we have gone around and around on what would a good name for the coalition be for over a year, and we have gotten nowhere. So a little guidance would be nice.
Yeah, no, and then there's also like, there are specific like marketing firms, because I can't remember specifically if there's distribution in here, but like distribution can be a part of that depending on what RFPs and where you go. So like, that's a lot of times, sometimes, just listen to me in the morning. Can be the difficulty that people, they're looking for marketing, they're looking for all of those assets. They get those assets and they go nowhere. So just make sure that distribution is part of it if you can.
And we can modify this to specify that. Again, this is what we use to get PB&J, and Carl Bastian there actually does, he's got all the connections, right, with Spectrum and with Lamar and all those people. So he actually goes out and negotiates the contracts, and we just sign them after we approve them. So yeah, exactly. We'll make sure, but I can make that a little more specific, the wording in the RFP.
You guys did
Yeah.
the most for what you're doing.
And if you have some ideas about people we should specifically solicit, I mean, we can put it out broadly, but if you've got some ideas of some other great firms in town, yeah, get us a little list with some email contact. Get that to Audrey.
Yes,
I think
please.
she's going to be responsible for distributing that.
I'm gonna lean on the chief deputy clerk to clean up what I really meant to say when I say this, but I move to recommend that the county board of commissioners approve the distribution of a request for proposals, provide branding and prevention messaging services to the coalition using prevention network grant funds.
Mr. Russ?
I just have a question why August 11th of this year is on your RFP. I'm confused.
That's actually when it was written. And we have just been, I have been tardy in bringing it forward. So I apologize for that, but that's why we will update that.
So we dissolved our relationship, and now
Yeah.
you're asking us to support something that I see was 3 months, 4 months ago. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
We were actually going to ask you back then to resolve the relationship, and yes, I have been slower than I should be, and I apologize for that. We are correct.
Any other discussion? All those in support, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved, 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everybody.
And now we have from the sheriff's office, fundraiser. Morning. Good morning.
Sheriff and the undersheriff run some training. I don't think they expected the meeting to run this quickly, so you're stuck with me.
It's great.
This is good news.
So long and short, we're looking to do the K9 golf outing again this year. We did it 2022, 2023. It was very successful. We want to move forward again and do it here in 2024. And we're just looking for your support to do that.
Commissioner Elgar?
I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners approve and allow the Leelanau County Sheriff's Office to hold a charity golf outing in 2024 to benefit and maintain the K9 program with the requirement that you have fun.
Always.
Support.
Any discussion? Commissioner Kramer?
You just got 2 puppies. Would you be willing to try some training?
I'm going to defer to the undersheriff on that one.
Commissioner Russ?
I just have a question. Did you rotate between the different golf courses?
We started at Bailey Farms. Last year we were at Sugarloaf, the old course. This year we're looking at Manitou Passage. There are other courses, but obviously with something that big, we have to have a bigger course that can handle, 120 golfers and all of the other people. So yeah, we've already, the undersheriff and I went to talk to Manitou Passage. It was like in June. So we're tentatively set with them. And we're looking at June 7th as the date, first Friday in June. Perfect. So you'll come volunteer?
Any other discussion? Commissioner Lovner?
Some talk about getting a second officer, K9 officer.
Yep.
And will that come to us or when or?
My understanding is that it already has.
Did it already come to us?
Yep.
Okay.
We're actually taking, Deputy Jordan Strope is
Yes, that's
taking
right, Jordan.
possession of the dog actually December 20th. The dog's in training now.
December
Yep.
20th.
Yep.
Okay. So
And then starts training first part of January, I believe.
we will have to
Yes. Yep.
day and night.
I want to say, I think it's great you guys have figured out a fun way to fund. our medication.
It has been very,
So good job.
yes, thank you. It has been very successful and a good time.
And they're very valuable members of your team.
Yes.
We have a motion. All those in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you can tell the boss you did well.
It went quicker with less politicians.
We now have our Lou Cross and Darcy are here and Lou's here. Last time Lou became before us, he was the last on the agenda. So he's now at the beginning. Thank you, Lou.
While Lou is passing out his materials to you, I just wanted to thank him. Lou is here Thursday and Friday and conducted our employee meetings, went over the health insurance with the employees, gave them some good tips on how to help save us money, and just did a phenomenal job. So with that, I'll turn it over to Lou.
Well, thank you, Darcy. We've done the Chicken Little thing forever, and I'm not going to do it anymore. This thing just keeps rolling along. Blue Cross this year did not even argue with me. They just said they were going to renew your certificates. That's real good news. They also did not pressure us on changing the employee benefits from $100 deductible that's unheard of, doesn't exist anywhere else anymore. Average out there's $2,500. But your employees have done a phenomenal job at helping us hold these costs steady. So our projected cost by Blue Cross was 2.1 million. We came in at 1.759, which is what we've been at for several years now in a row. And even though we're picking up some additional costs, these that the employees are doing to help us has held us at a steady number, which is unheard of. In fact, Blue Cross says this is impossible, even though they give me these numbers. So I guess they don't even look at them. So our differential was 344,000, which is 16% under cost. They came back this year and said that they expected 2.2. I think we are more in the range of where we are this year, unless something crazy happens. That $20,000 stop loss they let you keep is just kept the lid on this thing. So the stop loss fee is going up from $814 to $887. In the normal world, there would be a guy sitting here telling you to change that number. They can lower that. They can save you that hard cost. But what I know now, having done this long enough, is that for every dollar you put into stop loss cost, you take $1 out of claims. For every dollar you reduce your hard cost, you probably add $2 or $3 to your claims. So there is no benefit in making any changes, even though this thing looks totally weird to the rest of the world. In our little bubble here, we know it works. Our stop loss cost was $957,000, and they paid out $579,000 in large claims, which means your net was a $378,000 cost, which on a $2 million protection, that's a pretty good deal. But there's something you don't know about. You carry a rolling thing called MLR, medical loss ratio. And every time you put money into the fund more than you take out, that medical loss ratio starts coming down. I would argue next year for you that if we have these numbers again, I'm going to ask them to reduce your hard costs. So, and that's something that they typically never get a request for. But we've been pretty successful up in Misaki with the same program, and they reduced their costs this year. So the administrative fee is going down a little bit. Don't ask me what that's all about. Your total administrative fee was $94,856. That's what the Blues gets for providing your cards and all of the programs they have and everything else. However, for those of you that have been here for a while, you remember about 4 or 5 years ago, they came to us and asked us to combine two costs, the cost of the hospital and a pre-fund. And if you agreed to do that, you got to get all of the Blue Cross savings. Now 90%. That result this year was you saved $1.231 million in costs that were accrued by your employees, but did not have to be paid by you. Those are all of the discounts and everything else that the Blues gets. The thing that we're watching, if you notice, prescription costs are creeping up. And the fact that we've been able to hold where we're at, even with this happening, is helpful. We talked a lot with the employees this year about how they can help with this. One of the big problems is everybody knows that all of these high cost drugs, Humira, Ozempic, all of that stuff you see on TV, Latuda, whatever. Well, while everybody was watching that, the pharmaceutical companies have been raising the bottom costs. They have taken generics from what, $30, $40 to $150, $200. And nobody was catching that because they were all looking at this awful number up here. So we spent some time with the employees on how they can help us hold that generic cost down, because that, I think, is having a bigger impact on you than any of these expensive drugs.
We worked so hard to train the employees to ask for the generics.
Yep. And where to get them and how to get them.
Is it 1 month and 3 months that they can get a 3 month?
No, not really. Here's the deal. You guys are so unique that nobody knows what to do with you. When they go to a doctor, people tell me the doctor argues, you can't have $100 deductible. You can't have a 1040 drug card. You guys have a 1040 drug card, $10 for any generics, $40 for all of the rest of it, with no formulary. Your employees can choose any drug that's out there. That's unheard of. Most drug cards are now 5-tier at least. Generic, another generic, a name brand, another generic. I mean, it's crazy what these people, trying to get people to hold their costs down. Your guys do it voluntarily. So one of the things we told them though, was on that $40 cost, that could be an underlying $1,000 bill that you guys get. So we taught them how to look at what it's actually costing the plan, and then told them some ways that they could help with that. So.
Do you have an average cost for participant? How many participants do we have?
We have approximately 100.
Yep, and we're running right around 11,000 or 12,000, I think, per contract.
Employees.
That's contract.
Contracts.
That's
It might be a
contract.
spouse, and it might be a family.
Correct.
Even so, I mean, I guess I just had to renew our business insurances, and our coverages, we can't come close to this. They're probably 40% more expensive, and this year was another year of a 6% increase, a 10% increase in benefits. So
yeah,
this is an incredible deal.
This is, yes.
I just had a personal question. Did I miss the meeting? Was that where we invited as users of this too, as commissioner, to glean more information?
That's a good question. I'm not sure I sent it out to you.
I didn't see it because I would have been.
That would have
so
been,
next time we'll get
yes, definitely.
But then we're gonna hold you to a higher standard.
Yeah. And on that note, I would say we had probably close to 60 employees attend.
Yes.
So the employees are doing a great job, and they deserve a thank you too.
Have a proposed motion on page 50. Commissioner Lovett?
I would move to recommend to the Board of Commissioners waive its bid policy and approve the contract renewal with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan 2024 for 2024. Funds to come from the insurance fund 677. And I will again trust the deputy clerk to have a full number for us next week.
Support.
Any further discussion? All those in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Additional motion on page 51.
Yep. Yeah, we gave you a little more information on how this breaks down and what it means to you guys. We did the actual versus what they said. So you could kind of see that we've always run under what they say it's going to cost. We also showed you what happened this year. We only had 4 months where we went over budget. We give you a monthly budget to work with. That is phenomenal. The other thing that is in there is the pooled rates. What is that? It's what Doug just mentioned. What happened to everybody else out there? They got creamed this year. 6% is low. I've had a 33% on a county.
That was 6 with a reduction in benefits. To maintain the benefits, it was about 60.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane what's going on out there. So, you could be spending 4.7 million for this plan if you wanted to buy it as a premium based deal. The last thing item you mentioned, we asked for a raise of $125 more a month. We skipped last year. We got a little bump from Blues. So, but this year it's getting expensive, So anyway, that is our ask from 100 to raise it to 125 to 42.95 a month.
There is a proposed motion on page 51.
That's 125 increase per month. You're asking, right, just to clarify that.
So it's going to increase, okay, we don't have those numbers in here.
Well, it's in here though.
And then we have to bring it out.
Yeah,
Mr. Bruce,
I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners to approve an increase from $4,170 to $4,295 as the monthly fee to CNN insurance for the administration of the county's Blue Cross Blue Shield health care. This total increase of $125 per month. Funds to come from the insurance fund 677.00000071810.
support. Any discussion? Mr. Prim,
Oh, no, I'm there.
all those in support of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion approved 7-0. I'll make sure the clerk has in her notes in bold that you said you'd come back next year.
Yes.
And ask for a lowering of the.
Yep, we will make that attempt if they keep doing what they're doing.
Thank you.
And one of the things we tried to do this year was get together with the board, didn't we? To just do the board guys and bring them all up into this whole thing.
Yeah,
We could do that.
we should do that.
Yeah. Yeah, we could do that anytime, guys.
Anything more for Lou?
Can I address on the first motion, I didn't include a full number because your insurance fund actually has account numbers that break down the different costs. So there's several different lines that each bill gets paid from. That's why you're not seeing a complete account number.
Okay.
It's.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We now have appropriate family court request. Are they here? In the board packet, there is documentation. Okay. Do you want to speak to that, Deb?
I have not received any information from probate court on this issue. So I really don't have any additional information to add to it.
They are asking for support for beds that have been in short supply from Ottawa County. Commissioner O'Dare?
I would move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners approve the Ottawa County Juvenile Detention Center bed rental agreement between Leelanau County, the 13th Judicial Circuit Court, and Ottawa County, the 20th Judicial Circuit Court, and the Ottawa County Juvenile Detention Center as presented pending council review and approval. And the reason that I'm doing this is because they did not get a grant to establish local beds, and they are desperate to secure them, so. This is a real need.
Indiana, Ohio. Yes.
Yes.
Any other discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 7-0. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I just am a little uncomfortable with Marion, Judge Gronkowski not being in the room.
Should sign it.
Yeah, she
She
signed
did
it.
sign it.
Yeah.
That's a pain thought, but I thought, well, she
Sure.
must have vetted it. because-
She's here, I'm sure we can go up and ask her to come down if there's any questions.
So we can,
It's probably earlier than they thought we'd get to it.
I would be happy to ask the judge if she'd be available for next Tuesday's meeting if there are any questions or concerns.
It's not necessary for me.
I
can
know
talk
she's
to her
busy.
privately.
Okay, we now are at Steve Christensen here. We have
Yes.
proposed contract renewal for the drain commissioner. I think we want Steve here.
He's in the back.
Oh, there he is. Hey, Steve.
Good morning. Oh, same as last year.
And it's
Is that a
budgeted,
motion?
and it's budgeted.
But,
Commissioner Ludner.
you're right, Steve, same as last year. When you brought us this company, you asked us to approve this company because they were experts in the field and had done lots of these downstate, et cetera. But we have not put this out for bid, and we would waive our bid requirements again if we go ahead and approve this consulting and engineering service. So I would like to see it go out to bid myself.
How long have we had this arrangement without actually going out?
When I first went into the process of doing a drainage district, that's 017, 018.
I mean, to Commissioner Long's comments, we have talked about like these things that, I mean, I agree they're not, because they kind of like the insurance thing, you want to have to bid them out every year, but we talked about having some sort of board policy that would say these things at least on some regular basis. We all, again, just for sure we're getting the best bang for the buck.
I'm considering the amount of money that this is bringing in. The last time I had looked, and this was sometime, I think, August, September, this firm had gotten, I wanted to say $500,000, but maybe it was $250,000 that this firm has gotten paid for drain districts in our county, and that was just getting one completed. So that being said, this is a pretty big deal in my estimation. So are there other engineers out there that do this sort of thing that would be interested in bidding on these projects for us? Because it's got a long ways to go, and this is to date, we should probably get a number to date what we've spent. I believe it's got to be over. Well, in fact, we just had a big bill last month that was like another $12,000. So it's pretty big bucks.
Are we mid-project on anything they're working on? So is this continuing or is this for future projects?
This is just for general services. It would be whatever I needed as far as looking at the possibility of doing a new drainage district. In essence, well, it's a pretty specific set of laws and set of restrictions as you head toward doing a drainage district. So it's pretty specialized per se. It's not a garden variety. You know, there are other people in the state that do it. When I got into it, I went for legal counsel. I went for corporate, and corporate had one person that was sort of familiar, but they were on sick leave. So it was a situation where I needed counsel that was very expert in this very specific law that's old and archaic. So I went with Clark Hill, which is an entity that we work with on the county level and other departments.
So I think Commissioner Lovner's comment is, I'm not sure that there's a full understanding. We're looking at the $10,000. If I read this, is kind of a retaining. It's like, okay, this sets up, but if actually what we're going to pay, if we're going to exhibit A, which is an as-needed basis hourly.
Just as needed.
So, but the point being, that we're not waiving a $10,000 bid requirement, we're waiving a potential $150,000 for the services, depending on how much they're needed throughout the year. So
it would just be for general services, 10,000 only. The other drainage districts are in motion, and I'm working with this company to do them only. I won't be changing horses. I won't be changing horses from Clark Hill. Those are the people I'm working with. So all of the drainage districts are going to stay the same people. The only reason I'm bringing this is because this is for general services, whereas I would need, as clients would come, you know, if we're looking at, say, Dalzell Road or Jacobson Centerville Road, Main Street, Lake Leelanau, 4th Street and Suttons Bay. These are areas that are flooded very regularly and are really a high potential of possibly doing a drainage district. the initial work going in to have an engineer look at it from my office to see, where would we be heading as far as a drainage district? There's an initial set of work where he would go in and do some initial survey work that I can't charge to a district. Once we have a district, I can charge whatever's done against the district, and then the district pays for that bill. So, if I'm gonna have an engineer look at anything with regard to potentially going for a drainage district, I would choose Brian Sensi from GEI because that's the company that's doing my districts. It's not just anybody come and do it. This is dovetailed hand in glove. It's real specific. Commissioner Rossman, Commissioner Rexroth.
I just have one question on the document summary. It says the current approved budget for the Drain Commission is also attached. I don't see it. I'm missing this. And then my other thought is, so this gentleman, Mr. Sensi, would help you bring new drainage districts on board by doing some of the engineering back.
Yeah, it's
preliminary. But when you
preliminary.
actually create a drainage district, we would then have the opportunity to bid out for that specific work to another engineering firm. We would have another RFP.
The drain commissioner would choose what company would be involved with the drainage district. And the drain commissioners would choose what legal entity would be overseeing the drainage districts, and that's who I go to. Those are the entities that I would go to. It would be my decision.
So I guess it was dovetailing to follow up. I mean, this board has no control whatsoever because you say they're paid by the drainage district, but every time there's a drainage district, the county road commissioner and the county itself has to pay a share of those funds.
Right, along with the township, along with the village, and then the district entity, yes.
And so we are in a position where, not that you don't make the choices, but just to make it absolutely clear to this board and the residents here, you have ultimate authority over choosing that person, the rates they charge and whatever, with no input from this board whatsoever.
Correct.
That's interesting.
That's the risk of being an elected official.
Yeah.
He's an elected official, so.
Well, this isn't, Steve touched on.
Yes,
This is an antiquated law set up not for what it is being used for in Leelanau County, and that's the issue. This was designed for downstate, heavy playground, farming area. That's what this was designed for. This is being used in such a way to circumvent other things up here, and we are, we're paying 50% of these bills. I have a real problem with that, and I think that we should work together and I think there should be some say by the people how much they're paying one firm for these services. And if you say you're locking it down and this is the only one you're going to use, I think that is quite unfair to any other engineers that may also have this kind of expertise and be available to work for us. So I still say even this part of it needs to be put out to bid, and we should just know whether this is the only firm or if there are other firms. And you may discover there are others you can work with.
I just want to clarify, there's nothing in my comments that I meant to indicate that you weren't making good fiscal decisions or that you aren't doing the job that you do. Those things monies aren't well spent. Okay, I don't want it to sound like an attack on you at all. It's just understanding exactly the process. So please take that into okay.
Understood. There was a proposed motion, and I don't sense there's support for that motion. Do we have any motions to put forward? Commissioner Lautner?
Now we move to Leelanau County Board of Commissioners, put out for bid the requirement for engineering and consulting services for general drain consulting between Leelanau County, for Leelanau County.
Support for that motion? Support. Before we ask for discussion, do you want to respond to that? Thoughts on that motion, Steve?
Yeah, I guess I view the work that's been done by Brian and GEI for the county in the general services to have been fair, and I'm not running around trying to do new drainage districts per se. I'm responding to the folks in the county that have problems that are not being solved in any other way. You know, if you want to talk to some of the folks down at Lake Bluffs, they have a road that they can drive on now. Nobody was, stepping up. Granted, they could have done it themselves. It wasn't happening. Fire and rescue could not get in when there were severe events there. The ones that I'm looking at and the work that I do, I'm like the last resort. In a lot of ways, it's a very expensive resort. When it goes through the process, it's not the most direct and the most cost efficient for fixing the problem. That should be done by the people that are involved in it. It should be done by the private sector. It should be done by the townships working together. It should be done by the county and the townships working together with the villages. It should be done a lot of different ways, very directly, and it'd be much more efficient and it would be cheaper. And I just feel like I made a good choice with GEI, and I think Brian's very frugal. And I see no need to go out to bids for this.
So now I have a full understanding that you have autonomous power and you pretty much stated you're gonna choose Brian to do the completion of these projects. It's quite possible that it could cost everyone more money by having someone do the preliminary work and have them switch them somewhere. Because I mean, what if we went out for bid and we said, okay, you're gonna use another firm to do the preliminary studies and that's what you have to do, and then you're gonna have Brian do it anyway. That seems to be a less efficient matter than.
When he does this work, he's already in the county. He doesn't typically do this work on a special
I
route.
think about this a little bit more on any, I'm not comfortable with this motion or the other till I have time personally, that's just one commissioner, because now that I understand fully how it works, I'm not sure what the best route is without spending a little more time thinking about it. That's just me.
I don't know how to describe this, but what I'm hearing is there are lots of components that all come together based upon this one contract, right? With the county, or with the townships, all of them come together to create this picture. So it's not just the Drain Commission wanting this contract with GEI. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that the difficulty? It's more like an onion. They're all layered upon each other.
Well,
So if we remove one strand, it's not complete.
the connection between Brian and GEI with the districts is direct. So he has to be in the county on a regular basis with regard to the districts that are in motion. I have to call him. I have to bounce things off of him as we're moving through the process of getting easements. In that, I would at times ask about a situation where there could be a potential of a new district and, his take on the hydrology of the area, the physical aspects of the area. What would the district sort of look like if we were going to go down that road? About how many people would be in the district. I just had to talk to him about Main Street within the last 3 weeks in Leelanau. Got an opinion from him as to how many signatures would be needed if a person were to make application for a district there. And it boils down to, in that situation, there aren't too many options for the people getting flooded. And it's not an easy choice to make for a person to think about getting an application out to help with a flooding problem. And whether that one happens or not, I did touch base with Brian, and Kama was involved in that to get the information that that person needed. And whether or not that person steps forward with an application, I don't know. It's not an easy thing to do. The stuff I'm doing isn't easy. People are already pretty damn mad.
I've had the privilege of working with Steve for over 11 years, right beside him on some of these, and now again. So I totally get it, but I think, can we look at the timing of this for next year? If we decide to go forward with GEI, this is December, today's December 6th. 5th. I mean, when a contract is due on January 1st, it's a really tight time. So I think we need to make a decision today that for next year or at some future date, we're gonna give ourselves enough time to send out RFPs. I think that is really important, but I do not want to jeopardize the work that Steve is doing on behalf of all of us. So I don't know if we can add that to the motion or somehow make that in our calendar to make sure that this contract is looked at in a better fashion, more timely fashion, so we actually can make a decision.
My assumption is we don't need a motion because I just saw the administrator write that down and put it on the planning calendar.
Perfect. I would feel very good about that.
Commissioner Lautner.
Well, my concern is, Steve, that I know this is all relatively, I'm going to say new to you, because you've expressed in the past that you lean quite heavily on Brian to do all of this work for you. I know that you alone are in charge of invoices, signing off all the time, spent all of that. I understand that. By putting it out for bid, as I said before, you may find there are other firms you can work with. You may find other firms that will be less expensive than spending this much money in one place with one firm over the years. And I just have a lot of concerns about this, such as the Lake Bluffs, because we had questioned why we were even doing the private road for 24 houses in there, why the county was paying anything, why the townships were paying anything, et cetera. We were told that their road was washing down onto the road, and that's why the road commission had been involved. I asked the road commission and they said that road had never washed, that we were told the water had washed over that road. I asked the road commission, they said that water never washed over the road. So there's just seems to be, and even from the very beginning, going back a few years, a lot of misinformation. And it just concerns me greatly. I think it's not going to hurt anything to put it out for bid. We may find this is the only firm. But I just think we need to be open-minded. Because it is our dollars, whether they're coming out of this county budget or our own neighbors, and I have concerns for it.
This isn't gonna be acted on until the next, this was just a recommendation. I just wondered if Commissioner Lautner would consider just drafting the motion and putting it for action at the next meeting, so I have a little more time. It's not that I wouldn't support your motion at that time. A lot of what I've kind of learned and understood, I'd like to understand a couple more things before I made a commitment myself.
Can I move it forward?
I would like to move it forward.
That's fine.
Willing to motion to move it forward.
I will make a motion to move this forward to the regular.
Support. All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved 7-0. Maybe we can get something from Paul Stoker before next Tuesday as well. That might give us some guidance on what option we have.
The contract's in their house right now.
It's one of my.
Pardon?
The contract is at Cold Stoker right as we speak.
One of my concerns whether we could adequately provide a bid document if it's executed and received in the manner timeline that we have right now. And so that echo from Mr. Ross and your concerns, I agree with both. It's just what's the best course of action at this moment for the work we ended up. So,
We've talked about that in the past as far as calendars, because this is exactly what we have asked to avoid in the past.
agreed.
Don't land it as a late item and don't land it the month it has to be approved, because that is not good policy.
And could I also add that sentence, the current approved budget, and am I not seeing it in our packet? The current approved budget for the Drain Commission is also attached.
My understanding is that that information has been emailed to you. I'm not
She
emailed to you,
just-
just emailed it to you. So
She
you
just
just
sent
received
it at 10:06, we received it, but I also don't think, this is the Drain Commissioner's budget, but these are not in the Drain Commissioner's budget. The one contract might be, but
It's listed as contractual
under
services.
contractual services, is contract alone, but not the Drain Commissions, or I mean the drain district. Those are millions of dollars and.
Steve, we, you've been jumping a bit today. Thank you for your service and you have a difficult task. Commissioner.
I have a couple of calls and an email to you if you would respond.
I did leave a voice message and the person I did call, and she's getting a permit for the work that was done. And at that point, I can be on site legally and determine if she needs to talk to Eagle, Robin Schmidt.
Okay.
That pipe that goes from the road to the lake is a drain. That water comes from across the street and the street water ends up there. There's a cross culvert, a county road cross culvert, right where that end of that little pipe is. So the water goes from the road and the cross culvert to the lake. When it was severe flooding, I'm going to say 6 years ago, 5 years ago, the area beyond on the other side of the street filled up with water. Water came coursing through, went across that property, flooded that little cabin and went into the lake eventually. I was encouraging that group of people to work together to get some type of open ditch drainage, maybe with an easement, so they could work together and let that water get to the lake where it's, instead of flooding a cottage, it would actually get to the lake. So anyway, that pipe is there. I don't know when it got installed per se, but I know that when the replacement did, because the neighbor called you and called me. So it took me a while to get that person on the phone, and she told me she's going to apply for a permit. So that permit will come in, the application, and then that'll allow me to be on the site legally to physically look at it and work with them about how that should have been done or will have to be done, depending on what's actually there. It's a small pipe. It's maybe 4 or 6 inch, probably a 4-inch, runs from the county road cross culvert to the lake. She said it's historically been there.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Our
Steve.
neighbor is very persistent.
Very much so.
Steve, can you be here next week?
I'm sure I can. I'll make a point.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Steve.
We now get to accept some money from senior services.
Good morning. I am here to ask for acceptance for a contribution from Area Agency on Aging for our outreach activities for our Medicare improvements to our local seniors.
Mr. Russ?
I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners allow Leelanau County Senior Services to accept a contribution from the Area Agency on Aging of Northwest Michigan for providing seniors with MIPPA Medicare improvements Maintenance for Patients and Provides Act beneficiary outreach assistance totaling $680 and placed into Leelanau County Senior Services contributions from other agency account 677.000.
Support.
All those in support of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved, 7-0. And thank
Thank
you, and yes, Commissioner Ross.
I'd just like to publicly thank you for working with our Leelanau County Energy Task Force. She is allowing us a little corner in her newsletter that our energy efficiency subcommittee is providing to help seniors save money on their winter energy bills. I think it's a huge collaboration and such a reminder of why we thought this committee was so important. And your willingness to work with us to reach our vulnerable seniors is just awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Before you go, you want to remind us once more about next week's dinner or lunch?
December 14th, Thursday, doors open at 11:30. Lunch is served at noon at the Leland Lodge for our Christmas party. Tickets are $12 a piece, and I think we have 95 seniors signed up. So we're getting close to that deadline, and we're crunch time for comfort and joy and Christmas parties and everything of the season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we take the clerk's item and then we'll take a break if that works for everybody? Michelle? We have 2 purchases to approve, I think.
Just one, if that helps get the first one through. And Jen's gonna just chime in from over there. So what we have before you is we went out and we did get 2 quotes. And Leanna, IT technician Leanna has reviewed the software statistics with us, and it's to create and catalog Leelanau County vital records such as marriage, deaths, births, and DBAs. We had looked at this a couple years ago during COVID to help get this moving along, and we just haven't done too much because we're in the process of all of our court changes. Fiddler Technologies is the company that we would like to go with. The price is $16,900 with a yearly maintenance of $5,400. And Tyler Technologies is approximately $96,000 without the option of cataloging prior years. That would be outsourced to another company. And because of the cost, I just think it's too much money. I just don't want to outsource and bring another different vendor in. And not that there's anything wrong with it. The Register of Deeds, you know, they use heavily Tyler Technologies. They are like the guru for the Register of Deeds offices, and they have a yearly maintenance of $9,200. So our recommendation is to enter into a software agreement in yearly maintenance with Tyler Technologies. I do have the money. I'm a little short, but I will have enough money to pull that out of this year's budget. It won't be installed until 2024. They're about 3 months behind. They're going into so many counties. I think it will help with citizens and just staffing and indexing old, even historical assumed names and stuff. Because what program do we use right now for assumed names?
I don't know, Laurel could probably help me. What's the database, the old database in Microsoft?
It's very difficult to use. Is Laurel in here?
Yeah.
What's that called? Do you remember?
Used in 10 years.
She remembers everything.
There you go.
Access. And there's really no one here to help us anymore with that.
Database, yeah.
And it's not the most user-friendly, and I think we'll be able to incorporate everything into this. They do come and they do hands-on training here. And the other county clerks I've spoken to have been very happy with it. So
So I'll just mention, the board absolutely has the opportunity to relinquish its board rules or budget rules, but this would be one of those items according to number 3 that would require 3 bids. Since it's over the $10,000, which you certainly have the ability to waive that.
we are happy to go get the 3rd bid, but it is a very small mom and dad operation that you're not going to go with, even if the price is low. So we went with quotes.
So you got quotes?
Did you
Sorry.
say, just to clarify, so the motion says Fiddler, but you said Tyler.
Tyler Technologies is the other one, and their cost would be 96,000, and that's without the option of cataloging prior years and doing all the scanning in of our prior years. We would have to outsource that with another one.
Okay, so I thought you said you were gonna go with.
No,
Tyler,
no, no.
but you
I said Tyler Technologies is, they really are very popular with the Register of Deeds throughout the state. They have a really robust, great program that works really well for them. And the third company, I'm certainly happy to go get a quote for them. I'm not inclined to go out for bids. I wouldn't even know how to write the bid to do this. I've had Ron look at it. I've had Leanna look at it. I'm very comfortable. I can tell you probably for the third company, I personally am probably going to like the third company. My staff is not going to think it's current enough. It's the old black and green screen. It's DOS based. And so of course it's going to be right up my alley to use it, but I don't think from the county perspective. And if you want another price, I certainly could call them and get it. I just hate to have someone go to all that trouble for something I'm not going to recommend.
Commissioner Ross, you want to follow up and then Commissioner Rexford.
I was gonna make a motion. I would to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve, authorize county clerk Michelle Crawford to enter agreement with Fiddler Technologies for Apex Vital Statistics Software in an amount not to exceed 16,900. Funds to come from 101-425-215-970-000.
Support.
And I want to say that I've been doing some genealogy work and recently got some stuff in Fiddler for the county in Vermont, Calm, where my family
Oh,
is.
yes.
I just want, I think I understood clearly,
I
but
was
the
pleased with the stuff.
16,900 purchase price does include reporting of all your old records. There's no additional fee for that with Fiddler, right?
Correct.
That's gonna get all of your stuff.
They're going to show us how to
They're
do
gonna
it
show-
and
yeah,
help
they're gonna
us.
show us how to index it ourselves.
Okay.
The other would have been, I think it's called US Imaging, and you pay them to come in, take your records, and they upload it, and then you proof their work.
And
So,
the work have, I mean, this is a reasonable workload to get this done as far as what they've told.
I think so. I think so.
Any other questions or comments? We have a motion on the floor. All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 7-0. Now, is there a second?
The second item is, and you did not get any handouts. I was at conference on Thursday and Friday, and Jen came with me, and I had not received, I really wanted to come, my plan was to come before you, like I had thought of last month, and pulled off, hoping that we would get this equipment from the state and that they would approve it. I, for whatever reason, never received the email, so this, it came through Friday night that they have approved they expect to be able to fund 100% of early voting eligible equipment and supplies. Now, that means funding at 100%. Will we only get 80%? I'm hoping we get high because we really have looked at consolidating that. So at this point, I'm just going to hedge my bet, so to speak. I'm going to hold off and not ask you, although I've got it in my money. I don't want to. And I can come back during special reports because I do want to talk and just give a little bit about this. The administrator and I need to meet, but right now we've kind of been like ships passing. Every time we try to meet, she has something, and then I was out of town. And there's a couple things that are concerning me coming up with us hosting this. And we do need to talk about the site, but I just kind of want to give you as the commissioners a roadmap of where we're going and how this is going to impact this building. And I can do that later in the agenda. Okay. Yeah.
I think it's time for a break. Let's take 10 minutes.
It's almost getting
Okay, Laura, I think.
She might have changed.
Hey, Laura. Whatever's easiest for you. Thank you.
Then just give the date. Yeah.
I can do that.
Okay, back in order.
Thank you, everybody, for coming back. We're now down to our boards and commission appointments issue. And I wanted to comment that the clerk and I had conversation after the meeting, and when I asked if anybody wanted to divide the question, that did not take a second, and that requested anybody, we could divide the question. So I aired last week in my handling of that. But if, when we're looking at these, we have a motion and if people want to divide the question, anybody wants to do that, we can do that.
It was only me that was confused.
So we are down to boards and committees, and Laura, you want to kick us off?
Sure. Page 94 is the executive document summary that leads us to what you determined during your committee of the whole session, the follow-up afterwards, and then a couple little odds and ends that came up after the process relating to Construction Board of Appeals and the Northern Lakes Community Mental Health Authority appointment. So if you wanted to review that, that's on 94. Otherwise, your bulk motions, which I've gone over with the clerk staff on page 97 and 98, are what was agreed to. I will point out that with the solid waste on page 98, we had to add some language to the motion to waive policy to reappoint the 3, and then also reappoint John Fletcher. That's because John is eligible. He's only served 2 terms. The other 3, you would waive your rules because they've served more than 3.
So what are your, Commissioner Lautner?
And then isn't there then the 4th? Is it the 4th, or is that one of the 3 that we had the question of the ability to put someone who has never served on that board? So is that one of the 3 or that 4?
The 4 are addressed in that second to the last motion. The 5th appointment was for Marcia Harris.
That was the 5th. Okay, that was right.
Commissioner Lautner?
I would move to recommend to the County Board of Commissioners approval of November 28, 2023 Committee of the Whole recommendations for various boards and commissions as presented for fiscal year 2020.
Support.
Any discussion?
I would ask for division of that, the solid waste, the 5th appointment to the solid waste council.
Okay, so we would vote on the motion of everything except the 5th position on solid waste. That's correct?
I think so.
Yes, correct. Everybody find that? Okay, any further discussion on the motion on the floor? This is a motion for all those that came out of last week's meeting except the 5th position on solid waste. All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 7-0.
So if I may, I would recommend appointing Keith Badoon to the solid waste council. And I don't have those terms in front of me, but for the terms as presented.
As the 5th member.
As a 5th member.
Well, it'd be the same language, you just sub out Marcia's name for Keith.
Yeah, I just don't have it in front of me, so I don't have.
It's on page 98 at the bottom.
Was there support from extra? Or did I have support from Melinda?
Support.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Discussion. You want to talk first?
Yeah, so we had this discussion last week, and what you're not gonna see him checked on here as one of his boards. But as I said last year, seems like last week, that there is a misunderstanding of this board, and we do have So I did speak with Keith, and he is interested in serving on the solid waste council, even though it wasn't a check. So Keith has not ever served on a board. So per our practice in the past, if we have the opportunity to put a new person on a board who has not been allowed to serve, that has been what we try to do. So he is interested, he could serve. Marcia had served a number of years. Did we figure out how many years she was on? 10, 12?
Well, if you
Yeah,
go
but
to
she
the
wasn't
tip-
on last year, was she?
No, she's been off. That makes her eligible to reappoint. She did have the ability to serve on that board for quite a number of years. So this would just give us an opportunity to put someone new who hasn't been allowed to serve the county on a board.
The reason I did not support that, and I'm. No, oh, I'm glad he's interested. I'll have to get your name. Marcia's the only one from the west side of the county, so we need to be represented as well. We have recycling sites. And also she got her application in on time as was asked. So I don't see how we can say, well, sorry about your luck, and then we would have nobody from our side of the county. So that's why I supported reappointing Marcia. And she has been off the board.
As a member of the Solid Waste Council, I'm not familiar with this gentleman. I haven't seen him at a meeting. I guess I would hesitate a little bit without personally having him come to us and say, yes, this is where I want to serve my county, whereas Marcia has gone through the process correctly. So I don't think that should carry a lot of weight.
Other questions or comments?
I second the motion, was not here for this meeting, so I just wanted to hear the discussion. So I just, well, that is a full support. I just can't get the discussion without the second. So
Are we ready to vote? We have a motion to appoint Keith Badun. All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion failed. 1-6.
I hope he gets a chance next year. Now that he knows the ropes a little better. Sure.
Do we have another motion? Commissioner Roth?
I would recommend to the County Board of Commissioners to appoint Marcia Harris to the Solid Waste Council to a 2-year term expiring December 31st, 2025.
Any discussion?
I just have this. I am very disappointed. I'm very disappointed in this. It's not that Marcia did not serve well when she served on the board, but this is recycling. I just hope you will all reconsider this for next week, because this is a great opportunity to allow someone new to serve on the board who has expressed interest publicly in serving on the board. And if we are going to use this rule of, well, you didn't get it in your application in soon enough or by the end of the year, then we're going to have to follow that with everyone. We have waived that in the past when we've had an applicant come forward and for whatever reason, we've had to go out and search for applicants, but if we're just gonna say, whoa, we've got a hard deadline, I think that that's a sad thing to do to our general public who is expressing a desire to serve and who has not yet had that opportunity. That's my comment.
Other comments? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion approved 6-1. Thank you. We now have the Board of Appeals.
Yes, of course, Murphy's Law came into play after I talked with Amber and she said, you know, we just don't meet very often. And then she ended up within, it seemed like 24 hours time, having to schedule a Construction Board of Appeals meeting. So some of the people have health concerns, so it's really important that we have at least the previous amount, which was 5. We will continue to advertise for the other 2 seats, but she is recommending, based on the applications submitted, Mr. Hoskins. Yes. That's on page 109 of your packet.
109.
Yes, and her comments are listed on 104.
I would move to recommend the County Board of Commissioners to appoint Mr. Hoskins to the Construction Board of Appeals to a 5-year term expiring 12/31/2020.
Support.
Any discussion?
Yeah, could we just take a slight pause?
Sure.
So Construction Board of Appeals is. Who are all the applicants for Construction Board of Appeals?
There are 3. Mr. Aaron's already serves on 2 boards right now. Mr. Hoskins.
Where are they, though?
Pardon?
Where's Construction Board? Where are they?
Where are they? Well, if you're looking at your packet for today,
No, I wanted to see if they didn't appear.
they're not part of the committee of the whole because we're gonna hold off.
So they just go with that.
But if you go to your packet, it includes every available applicant.
Starting on page 103.
Yes, starting with. Just so hard to go back and forth because, as you said, John Aaron's is serving. Says he. It's a first time appointment for him?
For Mr. Hoskins?
Yes.
Yes.
What is his background? Does he have any construction?
Yeah, right here on 109.
And is that our department head recommends that selection, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Hoskins is a residential licensed builder in the community. He's got active work going on in the county, and I do have a current copy of his license on file.
And is that,
Easier kind of.
because you try to get different categories, correct?
Try to, it's not a requirement, though. I am working on cleaning some of this up with council at this time, too.
Okay.
You ready to vote?
This is a first time appointment.
For Mr. Hoskins, yes.
All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Laurel.
Third one, I'll speak to,
What does he do?
pardon?
What does Mr. Badoon do? What's his background? Construction?
Here. No, but we did have one more applicant, if you want to look at him, who has also said he would like to serve, and he has not yet had an opportunity to serve.
I was gonna ask, I just saw that, Mr. Stephens.
Yes, yes. So that's why I asked. He would be a first-time appointment as well. And it's construction background.
So we should refer that to him, right?
Was the recommendation we just made, are they full staff?
They have the 5 they need, but she had gone to the board earlier in the year asking to have 2 more. And at this point, she asked to advertise more for those final 2.
Oh, so we could appoint one more.
Or an alternate.
Mhm.
I mean, Mr. Stephens looks like he has previous builder's license.
Should we, do we want to ask Amber if she has worked with him?
I think we should.
Well,
And we
I think
could
that-
consider it next week if she's.
Yeah.
If that works for her.
Got somebody ready and willing with relevant experience and having trouble filling the board.
You want more persons.
I don't have a problem waiting till next week, but I hope we keep that open for consideration at that point.
I think it's on the agenda for next week, so we don't have another motion that we have to make to keep it there.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. The last one, and last week when the committee of the whole met, we said that we had community mental health not until March 1. Greg McMorrow is the vice chair of the Northern Lakes Community Mental Health. And so he would be difficult to replace without advance notice. So Community Mental Health has reached out and recommended him. This board knows Greg McMorrow, he represents us. And it is my recommendation and the Northern Lakes Community Mental Health Board's recommendation that we allow Greg to continue to represent.
I'll support that motion. Is that a
Well,
motion?
have somebody make it.
It sounded like you were making a motion.
I thought so too.
I would move to recommend to the County Board of Commissioners to reappoint Greg Morrow to the Northern Lakes Community Mental Health Board to a 3-year term expiring March 31st, 2027. Support.
Any discussion? All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Now Amber's here. Hi, Amber.
Hi.
We were considering the other applicant that's in the board packet, the builder from Lake Leelanau,
Okay.
Harry.
Yeah, I would ask if we could hold for just 1 week. I've just received an email after hours from Mr. Steffens. I haven't had a chance to call him yet today. I'm looking for additional documentations.
He
on
sits
his-
right behind you.
Oh. If we could chat after the meeting briefly, so I need a little bit of extra information from you to make sure you know qualifications on the board. All right. So if we could just hold off until next Tuesday so that we can chat. We've been missing each other.
Forward. So we'll have a placeholder on the agenda for Tuesday night that way.
Okay.
Move it forward.
Good job.
Okay.
Perfect.
You will.
Thank you.
Okay, stop, yeah, stop sign. So the person that you have on there for the agenda is Mr. Hoskins. Are you looking to add an agenda item to appoint another? Because it was 7-0, so it would go under consent, am I right?
Mr. Hopkins would be under the consent agenda, Mr. Stephens would be under the action items.
Because you're
So-
moving it forward.
You want to move.
Right.
So we're moving forward. I have a motion by somebody to move forward.
Yeah, myself.
Okay, and a second.
Support.
Okay,
All
thank you
those in
very
support of
much.
that motion to move forward. say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved 7-0, and that'll teach Mr. Stephens to come to board meeting.
That's right.
I think he's been here half of them.
Yeah, it's not the first time we've seen the face.
County government at its finest, the fastest you flew.
Harry's a great guy.
We are now down to Kathy and Finance Department year-end adjustments and end-of-year special session request. Thank you, Laura.
First, they're gonna do your motion for your year end. Yeah, that's what I think.
Thank you, Kathy.
Boy, that's. quick to have.
Right.
Yesterday.
That was great.
I'm going home and taking a nap. Mr. O'Rourke.
Yeah.
I'm going home and taking a nap. This went well in
Did you
past
do this?
midnight. Yes, I did.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're always so concise.
Commissioner Lautner?
Yes, I move to recommend to the county board of commissioners to approve, authorize the interim finance director to make any year-end adjustments and transfers deemed necessary to avoid year-end deficits in the various department budgets within the general fund. No transfers, adjustments to go beyond funds in contingency. All transfers and adjustments require the signature of the interim finance director.
Support.
Any discussion?
Are we talking about a huge amount or what are we doing?
We will be running budgetary status as soon as we distribute this week's accounts payable for late claims. We're going to sit down and look at all general fund budgets, and you will have budget amendments to approve next Tuesday. Then after that, we're getting close to the end of the year. Anything that comes up that's unusual that we anticipate or didn't anticipate. This gives us the ability in the general fund to make that. You're gonna see most of them next week. Is that fair to say, Jen?
It's fair to say, we try and do the most we can before the year end, so that last meeting you're gonna schedule. This would be if there's something that hasn't been communicated by a department here in the general fund that maybe wasn't communicated, that's gonna send them up and over their approved budget. And it generally happens after all the audit prep is done, so that everything is booked back. Because any wages that we pay the first pay in January are all booked back to December on an accrual process. So we don't know going in unless we were to guess every single one. So it gives us a push. Sometimes it's been something as simple as someone needed something close to that year end and it pushed them over. And let's say it was a $3,000 amendment. I would try not to have it at all, but it's usually very, very small.
And I should know the answer to this because you've had so many opportunities for me to learn, but I'm still there, but getting there. When it says no transfers, adjustments to go beyond funds and contingency, are there other words that you use for that? I mean, it's.
You have a contingency fund, or it's in the general fund. It's on the last page of your general fund, and I think we're sitting at 420 left in 420,000. It could be 3 something. We used a bit of it to fund the tower up in Leelanau Township.
So basically you have that 330 that's left at year end to adjust in the event, like, let's say MMRMA had come in with a bill that was over the budget like you saw, and we didn't catch that before year end, we would use contingency and drop that down. What you can't do is you can't build in more. You have to use whatever is at 1231. And the auditors look very tightly at that. Whatever you have is all you can use. Otherwise, you're reported to the state of Michigan and your departments are out of compliance.
So it is a limit to the amount that's remaining in the contingency fund, or the contingency budget, I should say. And so there is a limit, and it's an approved budget within the 23. So there is a limit.
Any other questions? We have a motion on the floor. All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 7-0. Second order of business, we need to set our year-end meeting. I checked with the clerk's office. They are available, this room is available on the 28th. We usually meet on either the 28th or the 29th. A very short meeting. And you will get the documentation in advance. If you can't attend the meeting, you still have attendance as long as we have a quorum. We need a meeting on the 28th or the 29th, which is what we.
I can do either one, Thursday or Friday. Okay, they're gonna take, but you may have some toddlers running around.
It's been done in the past.
No school.
I prefer Friday, but that's just preference, not a must.
Could we do it in the morning on Friday?
I have an 11 o'clock.
We'd be done. That's just a quick meeting anyway.
I don't even know if it lasts half an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet, okay. So,
Friday the
morning,
29th.
early morning,
How about 9:30?
so we'll be done and I can be back, starting my meeting by 11. Cool.
So the date is when?
Friday the 29th at 9:30 a.m. for a special session.
Because we don't add anything to it. So it's only for,
It'll be claims and accounts, that's it, and budget amendments typically.
well.
It's always public comment. I mean, I
So we do have a motion on the floor, right? Yes?
No motion, just a date picked.
Okay, could I have a motion?
I would move to schedule the special year-end session for December 28th, 29th at 9:30 a.m.
Support.
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. 7-0.
Actually, I move to recommend that as well.
Yes.
We are now down to Finance Committee. Between Kathy and Commissioner Rexroth.
Give a brief update, Kathy, and you can add to it as you see fit. If you don't mind.
Sure.
The minutes are in front of you, and have not been reviewed by us yet, we just saw them, so
They're hot off the copier this morning.
Right, so I'll let Kathy fill in any details, but we reviewed a number of things, public safety, revenue sharing, capital outlays, things that are going to be dealt with otherwise, the housing CBD program funding, the Leelanau Tower. At a tentative meeting for November or January 3rd, pending response from MSU, which actually is an earlier item. We asked the administrator to reach out to MSU to provide some guidance support on possible structures. As far as governance structures, CFOs or to the ordinary structure we had before with the finance director reporting to the administrator, or the hybrid combination CFO/administrator position. So we spoke to get some input on that. We recommended some language that's in there that will be acted on, I think, at our next meeting regarding the appropriations resolution and the budget resolution, which has some confusion since we've removed authority over that from the administrator in the interim. And that was confusing language and those things. So we have some language recommending to clean that up. We recommended approval of the stipends for the county clerk and chief deputy clerk through April of 2024, along with a strong recommendation going forward that we end the idea of stipends altogether as a committee. That's taken up later. We didn't really take action on the account clerk other than it was already approved, posting that job, so we get that going right away. And recommend that the interview committee for that position be consisting of Kathy, Jen, Darcy, and Commissioner Wessel. So that's like an update of the action items that were done at that meeting, the 20 pages of discussion that we took through this there.
Any questions for that before we turn to Commissioner Ross and then Commissioner Albert?
Yeah, so the stipends through April, and I guess, can you explain a little bit more about why the group decided that was a?
Well, that was a topic of considerable discussion. There was a range from no stipends to years for the stipends, 6 months for the stipends, and at the end, the compromise solution, I guess, taking into consideration that the audit will not be completed until that time, and also recognize the fact that Kathy has no staff. And so that staff has to be put in place, and that staff has to have some training. So out of the general discussion of the board, which was, if you read the minutes, was batted around quite extensively, that's the conclusion we came to.
So the staff that were in the process of hiring, what's the timeline to get that person on?
Job was posted yesterday, right, Darcy?
Posted
So,
yesterday.
yeah.
And we just that deadline or anything for that?
I think it's just until filled. Until filled, yeah.
Commissioner Albert.
I'm glad that you continue stipends. We agreed to those. There is work to be done, and we need new staff, and we need them trained so they know what they're doing. The only thing that I kind of reacted to was saying in the future, no stipends ever. I don't know if you said that or not, but I don't think we can predict future.
We can't bind a future board, we can only bind our board.
Yeah, we don't know what's coming, so.
Correct.
Yeah.
We just, the feeling was is that the whole idea, this is just one commissioner speaking, it moves the weight scale reference, it provides opportunities for problems and disagreements, so that was just this commissioner's thinking. I think Commissioner Wessel as well, that's the same thought, but again, we're just making a recommendation to the board, that's all our function is. It's the board's pleasure, what they
Just, being the adults that we are, even if we weren't here in the prior commissions, we as a board have to take responsibility for the position that we're in right now and providing support to people who need it. who have willingly stepped up to the plate, Kathy, you're one of them. I think we need to make sure that everyone has everything that they need, because we have made it extraordinarily difficult for these people to do their jobs. And so if stipends are required, we need to provide.
And it's 2 stipends. Is there a name attached to? I mean, is it?
2 positions,
Two positions.
chief deputy clerk and county clerk.
And there was any discussion about just the maybe one of those stipends? One person to kind of help with this transition time?
There
that-
was.
And what was the?
Resolution ended up where it did. And
Hey,
that's,
Could I interject?
Please.
In your minutes, this committee, and this is a new structure, doing committee to executive, you have 4 motions in your packet, and someone has the packet with green tabs on it. Did I hand out one that has green tabs? Because you did make motions to recommend to the executive to today.
I just want to say, Kathy just mentioned the process, and I personally will apologize that we just met, so we haven't had a chance to read these minutes. Normally, we would have had more time, but somebody was out of town and we couldn't be sooner. So I have to apologize for that. Normally, we wouldn't have this quick of a turnaround. So.
And
So you wanna start with the
don't
motion?
circle the spelling errors because you just have them because it's for the recommendation vote.
Right.
So.
So the theory is that we are hiring more people, and these 2 people will train the new people. Is that correct? How many people are we hiring to assist Kathy? 1 person, and basically full-time, and the qualifications are what? What qualifications are you asking for?
It's account.
Government experience.
there's a job description that was given as part of that meeting that just needs to clean up because it's what reports to. So I don't know if that's part of the minutes, but it's posted. So
Okay.
it's available for review.
All right, well, I appreciate your committee, and I'm glad I'm not on it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, but there has to be a light at the end of the tunnel, okay? Not another train. Thank you.
I'm not going to repeat all my statements from yesterday, but I supported the motion that's going forward today, but I am very, very concerned about continuing stipend. And I can't predict and guarantee what future boards can do, but I can predict that I will never, ever, ever again support the stipend.
Thank you.
Commissioner Alvarez.
Our finance department has been in disarray since it was ripped apart 2.5 years ago. And I absolutely support paying stipends because it is still not rebuilt. And I sure don't want to be the person to stand in the way of rebuilding this to what it needs to be. And if we are told at some point that you need to hire 2 people, we were going to give Mr. Cohen 2 people. Then we need to consider that as well. The last thing we should do right now is cripple something that has never been reconstituted after being ripped apart 2.5 years ago. So let's not stand in the way of what needs to be created to become a stable entity. Because what we don't need is more stumbling.
There was additional staff discussed and supported, so that just didn't happen at that meeting. So there's no objection to providing the required staff. That was actually a discussion that was had if you read through the minutes.
And I think that went back to a finance director, an assistant finance director, and 2 account clerks. So at this time, another account clerk would be phenomenal. And then we could have that training going on as well as daily work. Because not only are we rebuilding a finance department to what the board desires, what the county requires, the wheels of this bus keep turning and payroll comes up every 2 weeks and your claims and accounts. And we, I wish I could say, okay, we're just gonna put that aside for 2 weeks and we're gonna focus here. That's not how this works. It just can't. So
So why
I think
do we
it
not
only adds
hire
staff.
two people so we can train them both at once?
I will answer that from my perspective on the finance committee, that option was talked about, and I think we all agreed that that's not where we're gonna go. We don't know what Kathy's interests are. We don't know where we're going to be in April 1 in terms of structure of the finance department. We've looked at some different options for how we organize the finance department. We talked in this group, I think, about the possibility of 3 different possibilities. So I think we collectively agreed, unanimously agreed. You were there, Melinda, and you were there, Doug, and you were there, Kathy. I think we unanimously agreed it was premature to post the second position until we know what position we want.
well, you definitely need 2 account clerks, no matter what. You have one. She's predominantly responsible for accounts payable. And that's your claims and accounts, your post, that type of thing. The next account clerk they will be cross-trained as well, but that would be predominantly payroll.
There was no reticence on the finance committee from adding a second person, and my understanding was that it was a no from you, but I'm happy 100% to say, unless we're at a different meeting, I'd love to review and I don't mean to be argumentative.
No.
We did suggest a second person because it was budgeted.
In what position?
You just mentioned a second account clerk.
That's what we're advertising for. We have one already on staff.
Okay.
We're hiring a second.
So you don't, okay, so.
Oh, I thought you said you could use 2 more.
No, I have one and
Okay,
she's
all right.
been on staff. So I'm looking for
Sorry.
the second one. I'm like, sir.
Well,
No.
the idea was coming up is that we weren't giving you the resources
No.
that you asked for. So
No,
I want
no.
to clarify that with Commissioner Allgaier.
No, I'm pleased that we're at this point. If we can get an account clerk with some government background and payroll strength would be wonderful. I'd be so excited.
Okay, I'm missing.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you. The 4th person would either be the finance director or interim finance director, whichever way that.
Or assistant.
Usually goes. So I would recommend to the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners to continue the stipend at 10 hours a week for the chief deputy clerk and 10 hours a week for the county clerk to be through April 30th, 2024.
Support.
Yeah, I think I brought up a question and I don't feel like I've gotten an answer yet. So you said there was discussion about the need for this 2 stipends to keep going. I didn't hear anybody tell me why we need to vote going forward. Is this a time to do some compromising or are we doing what you had said where?
I just don't think we should cripple something that's not
No
working yet.
one, you guys didn't answer my question. So I guess I need to hear from you.
What is the question?
The question is why the 2 stipends? Is it a time where we could do a compromise and maybe whittle down the support to one stipend? I'm just asking. I'm asking, I wanted a question.
She's asking a question here, and then Commissioner Lutner, and then Commissioner Kramer.
Well, do we want to answer that first question? Do we want to address the question?
I thought she addressed it toward Kathy.
Oh, yeah. So
well, anyone who has the answer.
Okay. My personal opinion about the 2 positions that would be assisting through getting us into the audit season is we have an abundance of work to do. It is where we were a year ago when you lost your finance director, Mr. Prince. We came into the year end. We also have to transition into the 24 budget. I don't want to say it in a weird way. We run 2 sets of books because we continue to run 23 and 24 simultaneously while we're closing out 23 to prepare. There's a tremendous amount of oversight and review to make sure that everything is accurate. And they also have jobs that they perform in their own offices that have to be put aside. They might tandem, trade, take on an area of specialty. I I don't want to speak for the clerk, but I think this is not negotiable.
And we do have the audits.
And they have early election as well. So in their office, there's a great deal of pressure to assist at this level.
Commissioner Kramer.
I think it's, I don't know if it's naive or stupidity, sorry guys, but then we are gonna go ahead and hire all of this other staff. And then yet think that we don't have to provide stipends for staff who are assisting in this process right now. Like, it's super naive, it's super, I just don't understand why we would think that is even a possible solution right now.
It will be time consuming to train this new account
Sure.
clerk as well. And
Yeah.
I would like this account clerk to have good footing. And so that does require time.
Commissioner Leonard.
I was just going to answer the question, so I think they've done a good job.
Commissioner Grant, or
Good add
Clerk
more,
Parker, do you want to say anything?
Stipends are based on 10 hours a week at $25 an hour. Going into 2024, that will be less than the amount that you are paying an account clerk. With our our combined experience, the bang that you are getting for the buck far exceeds 10 hours per week. We put in mega hours. We have listened to this quality of work life, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds here, that you expressed as a board extensively for the prior finance director. You are getting a very good bang for the buck for us to step in and get you off of this Titanic, because we are against moving chairs on the deck. We're coming into an extremely, extremely busy year, and to be even more direct than probably Kathy wants to be, or Jen, it's not negotiable.
I'll just add briefly, in my discussions with everyone involved here, all parties are committed to moving forward and getting this where it needs to be and helping to get it done. I don't sense anyone not to be part of that process. We are just trying to do it in a more orderly, respectful fashion. And so I don't think there's anyone here, that wants to see a stipend spent when it's not need to be spent. And there's also no one here that doesn't want to have the adequate resources to get things done in the meantime. It's a difficult position for all of us, but I think we are trying to do the right thing in a respectful, cooperative manner. I fully believe from my discussions with everyone that at a moment when there is an idea that the stipend, if 2 months from now, you landed a fantastic payroll clerk and they can hit the ground running, I would hope that we could come and say, hey, we still need that help. And I think that, I'm not predicting that, but I'm just saying, I think the spirit is there of that. So that's what I feel in my
And
discussions.
I've been very clear about that since the beginning. But we're physically doing work. This is not about, oh, if the administrator comes down and asks a question about something. That's not what we're talking about here. We are talking about hands-on, the work, feet on the ground, doing a lot of work between now and our audit won't even be done at the end of April, but it will get us to a good point where we need to be.
I think we're moving forward in a positive direction.
Yep.
I got home from the finance committee meeting yesterday. I sent Kathy a note. I felt better about where we were yesterday after our meeting with the details that we provided than I had felt a long time.
Thank you, Michelle.
So I do that. And my objection to the stipends is not because I don't believe they're working hard. It's that there's implications across the board for the staff. And whether we want to admit it or not, it does raise issues. So I think in the future, if we need work done, we gotta hire it done. We need to staff accordingly. But I think this is a unique situation and we get everybody on board, and that's what the recommendation does. We have a motion? Yes.
It just seems like Jen and Michelle really aren't enjoying this very much. Okay. So, like you said, Doug, we're all hands on to get this going and everything. I just feel bad sometimes that I see Kathy come in, leaving this courthouse at 7 o'clock at night because she's got a 12-hour day, okay? And I think that has to be corrected no matter how we do it.
And the count clerk would be so welcome.
We're gonna get, are we ready to vote?
Yes. I just want to say thank you to this group for getting us through as we keep falling and stumbling over the last 2.5 years. They have pulled us through, and gotten us through audits. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. We have a motion on the floor. All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have unanimous approval for the motion that was just passed. Thank you. Commissioner Leonard?
I move to recommend to the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners to amend the fiscal year 2024 budget general appropriations act resolution and the fiscal year 2024 budget rules resolution that were previously approved November 21, 2023, as presented.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 7-0.
I would recommend to the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners that the interview committee consists, and this is for the account clerk, to consist of the interim finance director, HR, Commissioner Ty Wessel, and Chief Deputy Jen Zavicki.
Support.
Well, you know, and I had a question about generally, and I don't know if this is when I should ask it, but we did express interest in being a part of this hiring process. And I know that I was asked to sit in on an interview for planning, but is this kind of, because planning, I kind of get, we're looking at a new director for planning. So we had this hiring situation. Now, as interim department head, should we follow like that same process? I think we really need to get set in our minds who's hiring and who doesn't, and who interview committees will be, or how that will all be set up. Because I kind of left here thinking, I really don't know how all this works. We're going to be looking at a new executive assistant. Who will that be just administrators, or will we bring in a committee to help look at that in interviews? So
Is that a whole nother issue?
I guess that's my thinking.
Well, quite possibly, but yet we're saying, okay, go ahead and hire, but we're going to be a part of that. So does a department head have that ability to hire? Or, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just interested.
Lead as administrator, and in the board rules and in some of the other documents, it is ultimately the administrator that is responsible for hiring positions that are reporting to the administrator. So
As a department head.
So,
Okay, but Kathy will answer to the board.
correct, right? This is where some more confusion comes in.
A little bit on territory, but I think your question as a whole would be addressed, but I think in order to move this, Kathy needs a clerk.
Oh, I'm
on
on
board, so
moving forward. I just wanted to ask that question.
Commissioner Rush?
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to get a grasp on this too, and I feel like I would feel more comfortable having one position overseeing everything or be involved in everything, and I guess I see that as our administrator. I don't know how you hire someone without her being involved in it, because even though that finance person isn't reporting to her, and she's still in the building, in the government complex, so I don't know why we wouldn't include our administrator in almost all of our hiring panels, obviously not on our own, but as part of a group. I think that's a why, or HR. Darcy, you're on this one?
Darcy is.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
there
Darcy
is.
is, so.
It's new territory for us.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I would rather err on the side of having more people at the table making these decisions than less. So I guess I would like to make an amendment that would include Administrator Allen to the motion that you made, that she would be on the committee, or just discussion.
Your second to that amendment? Discussion on the amendment?
Yeah, I'm not going to support the amendment just because I think that we've got a really good team. We had a lot of discussion about it Tuesday. And I wanted to go actually the other way and I just feel that the expertise in financing, hiring, and who we're going to be looking for falls on. This is why I thought it was really important to have either Jen Zawicki or Michelle Crocker. Because this is about finance. Ty pressed really hard to be on it. He's got some background, I believe you mentioned. He thought he would be a good fit for it. So we have Ty and we have the clerk. HR made sense. And then obviously the finance director. So I think it's a real good fit with 4. And to make it more happy, I just, Deb's busy. I wouldn't add that to it. I would say, let's let these 4 get the best candidate they bring forward and go from there.
I don't have a lot of experience with hiring, but 4 is a troublesome number for me. I think, to get a quorum and such. And again, even though it's finance, it's all we all use finance to function. So the administrator is that umbrella that would help us all communicate better, more effectively with each other. And I think leaving that position, that administrative position out of this very important hiring process is just robbing her of the opportunity to administer us well. So I feel very strongly that that's a mistake.
Commissioner Kramer, and then Commissioner Rexroth, and then Commissioner O'Hara.
Earlier in this process, correct me if I'm wrong, we kind of divided those 2 spaces, correct? Between finance and administration, and when Sean was here. So what we're essentially asking is to then combine them again when we've already separated them.
Yes.
So that, to me, I don't think works because we've already made the choice to separate, not to combine.
At least on an interim basis, okay, that's not a permanent plan, that's the interim plan, is that during interim plan, the temporary finance director will report directly to the board. That is not any part of it, for sure, of the permanent plan, that has not yet been decided. So you're right, it is part of the situation we agreed to be in, and it is a confusing situation, I apologize for that. But just the answer, but the question, well, I feel like I need to apologize endlessly, the way for 26 pages of a meeting, I need to apologize for, but I think, I think we came to a recommendation, agreed to, Administrator Allen actually does have representation in that. HR is there as a direct report to administration, so it's not like the administration's been left out of the decision. But due to this really kind of delicate, funny situation that we're in, where we've decided in the short term that there's going to be a direct report to the board, I think we have an adequate committee put together. That's just one commissioner's opinion. So that's.
I would like to echo that. That's what I was going to say, is perhaps Commissioner Ross forgot that the finance director reports to the board and not to the administrator. So I believe the HR is a good representative. So I would support the current structure as proposed.
You have an amendment on the table, all those in support of that amendment? say
What's
aye.
the amendment?
The amendment is to add the administrator.
Add the administrator. All those in support of that amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion fails 2-5. We now have a motion on the table. All those in support of that motion to establish the committee. Four folks say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved 5-2. We
So they have two
one more.
I think two more actually, right?
Yes, this is, we'll go with motor pool. So I would recommend to the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners to change the rental fee for the motor pool fund number 661 to 25/50 mileage rate in the 2024 for 2024.
Sure.
So if I could, I'll give you a little overview. Yeah. Currently, are we at discussion? Okay, So currently, what we're doing is we are charging the lease fee for the motor pool vehicles, which is predominantly the road patrol and the vehicles in jail and drain, building and safety, parks and rec. We charge them 30 cents a mile for every mile up to 80,000. We do a monthly allocation of those miles or an accounting and charge those departments. And if it's over 80,000, it's 10 cents. We have come to realize that this has been in place for quite some time and vehicles exponentially are far more expensive. And the motor pool is not able to recapture those lease funds fast enough or incrementally enough to replace our vehicles. Granted, you could continue at the 10 and 30, but when a vehicle comes in and we don't have the money in the motor pool, the general fund has to pay for it anyway. I mean, if you approve it, we got to fund it. Right now, we have an update about the motor pool. We still have one 2023 vehicle that the sheriff's department has not taken possession of. Under sheriff was here yesterday and he said that he was promised its delivery last week and the week before, and we may not get it in 23. So it will be a 24 purchase, which is fine. It's already budgeted for, and you know, you've already approved that vehicle. He came to you in October and placed an order for his 24 replacements. They may or may not arrive in 2024, but they are exponentially far more expensive than what we're accustomed to. Then we got an update from building safety that the 3 vehicles that Amber had ordered for 23 and hadn't even gotten VIN numbers, now those orders are canceled. The Ford has decided they're not going to make any more of their 23s. So she's going to have to start over. We moved her budget money. You did approve her 23 purchase into 24 for those 3 vehicles. I don't know if they'll honor the price. She doesn't know. It was brand new news last Thursday night. So yeah. So we're helping her out with those vehicles that typically we auction, and that's done through the administrator's office. That's been held up because we've been rotating these vehicles to help Band-Aid ourselves through this supply chain issue. So back to money, which is finance. What the board talked about yesterday is, and what you have in front of you is the calculation that if we go to a 25-50 arrangement, 50 cents on the first 80,000 miles, 25 cents on additional miles after that, with the fleet we have and a maybe reminiscent year like we've had in 2023, we would put about 185,000 in the motor pool, which would help a lot, considering that when we purchased the vehicles for the sheriff's office, we're at about 160 for that. So that was the recommendation out of yesterday's committee meeting. Did I summarize that sufficiently?
Did well, and I might add that the Under Sheriff Kiesel was here, and they're the most, he's not here now, but I don't want to speak for him, but he was here at that meeting, and that's the most heavily impacted department. And my memory certainly expressed approval of our choice with my committee members. I know that he, that this looks like agreeable to him.
And again, though, didn't they all budget this into their 24, so that'll all have to change?
Well, we talked about that, and I did run a budgetary status on this year, and all of the departments that are being charged at the current rate are going to be under. And I think, do we roll those, Jen? Do we roll those vehicle charges? I mean, you know, the budgeted line item for vehicle rental, it's fixed. It's fixed. So I think that everybody was coming in pretty close. Secondary road's a little wonky because that's secondary road. They drive a lot more miles, but I think we just said we'll let it go as is into 2024 and review it probably after summer when they do their highest mileage driving is in the summer months, and revisit it to see the impact. Is that fair, Jen?
Yeah, we talked about maybe when you're doing your budget, that you can look to see what that 6-month number looks like, and are you high, are you low, are you right on, depending on how much mileage they drive.
Yes.
I have a question. Several months ago, we had someone come in to talk about fleet management. And leasing. Is that, and that just kind of died. Would that be helpful?
I mean, I remember the conversation, but it's unrelated to this question. I mean, even if they're fleet managing, if there's more money needed to fund the pool, I mean, it doesn't mean that we should possibly look at that again. I don't remember the status, but I don't think it has bearing on this question because whether they do it or we do it, we're simply not putting any reserve money into the replacement. So adjustment has to be made either way, but I do support the idea of looking further into it.
Yeah, let's do that next year.
Commissioner Russell.
So can we put that on our agenda, on a agenda coming up, that we relook at that and make a serious comparison and see what was the best time forward? I don't know when the best time of year to do that, but let's not forget it.
I thought somebody was getting back to us.
It will be an action item for your finance director.
Yeah, I think that was something that Sean had been looking into, and I think that you had a presentation made. I mechanically, and this is just mechanically, if you are going to lease that many cars, I mean, it would not, I don't know if it's considered a big fleet. I don't know if we're considered a big fleet in the big pool. Just
So we'll get that added to a future
Yeah.
agenda.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just.
I mean,
So we have a
typically
motion.
your
We have a
finance
motion on the-
director does do that, so I think when you hire one, I think that's a great thing that someone will come in and they'll be refreshed and they'll look at all of your cost allocations, you know, even what Darcy was here earlier with Lou. I mean, the way we're doing it, maybe they want to change it when you hire that individual, it's hard to say.
We do have a motion on the table. All those in support of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion approved. The reason I rushed through that is Jamie has to leave, and
Oh.
I think for housekeeping, we ought to have a motion to move the beta issue to next week's meeting, at which time we could then talk more in depth about it.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention that big inter-county government agreement that we came over with Beta and Grand Traverse County has been breached by Grand Traverse County. And it's been brought to our attention. They are attempting to, instead of assign one commissioner and one citizen, that they are attempting to put on 2 commissioners on the big board. So, I just want to clarify the request from earlier. It's a county resolution to support Beta, not an actual letter of support. And recommend that the Beta resolution be moved forward to regular session next week, December 12th, 2023. I'd also like to point out with this that the commissioner that is being proposed to go onto the big board is Mr. Jewett, and he has only attended 4 Beta meetings this year. So
we'll have a motion to move it forward.
To next
There's an
week.
article on the record Eagle this morning. You could get
Yes.
some background on that.
Yep,
And
yep.
then you'll present more. next
I
week.
will present.
I will
really
support.
dramatic
Okay.
that motion.
All those in support of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're back on our agenda.
I think we have one more yet.
I cannot find the four. Can you help me? I know we just.
I didn't get to see Tam, but it seems like there was, we had the, well, maybe not.
We had.
Oh, here it is. I got my green
tabs.
tabs.
Posting and,
We had the posting, which we didn't need to
okay.
act on.
But we
We just
didn't
said
need
the
to act on.
hiring committee, we had the,
Because the first 2, I mean, the budget appropriation, checking the rules was in one motion, so we
Stipend.
maybe that.
technically that was 2.
It was just 4. You got a motor pool,
Oh, maybe
the
we did.
stipend. I only had 4 tabs, so.
Okay, but we did it 2 as one.
Yes.
Okay, so you have 2 tabs on the appropriations and the budget rules.
Okay.
Yeah, we did that in a single motion.
Yes,
So-
we have
so that-
appropriations, interview, stipend, and motor pool, so you're covered.
Yeah,
Okay,
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 all right,
that's
thank you.
fine.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Okay,
And-
we're, sorry for the confusion there. We're back on our agenda. We're at item number 12 on the agenda, the personnel committee update. Darcy? Emma?
I believe Darcy was prepared to. We do have a meeting on Wednesday at 11
Yeah,
tomorrow at
tomorrow.
11 a.m. And we have a full agenda, so I encourage you to join us if you are so inclined.
Yeah, that's pretty much the update. I can't think of anything else.
The agenda's posted.
Yeah,
The agenda's
I
posted.
just sent you an email.
Yeah.
I already have a hard copy for you.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
We did talk yesterday in the finance committee during the organizational meeting. We have a look at our calendar of meetings so that we sequence our committee meetings prior to the executive committee so that we can do what we did today with finance committee, but with a little bit more lead time.
Yeah.
So we'll look at that during the organizational session for that. Thank you. We now are at our administrative report.
No, we still have,
DCS technology.
and we have our TMPC grant, so we have a couple more items.
That's why I said we're now at our administration.
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you said update.
Oh, no.
Okay. So number 13, the first item is the DCS technology contract renewal. This is for our consultant who manages our broadband projects for the county. And there was an update you'll see on page 147. This kind of concisely outlines the proposal. It is for two different segments. In the past, we have been working with DCS and Chris Shear to manage the 7 eastern townships with point broadband. And this is a continuation of those costs at the $96,000. The second proposal is for the 4 western townships for the ISP to be determined with charter. After some discussion, while the proposal includes both of them, it may behoove the board, if they so desire, to split this into 2 different proposals from the standpoint that we do not yet have a final number for the charter communications in terms of what that cost is going to be yet. So we may want to, the board may choose to hold off on that until we have more specific information on it, or the board can so decide to move forward with the total cost of $156,000 for the upcoming year.
I would move to recommend that the county board of commissioners waive its policy on bid requirements and approve an agreement between Leelanau County and DCS Technology Design LLC as outlined in the attached proposal at a cost not to exceed $156,000. Pending council review and approval, funds to come from Board of Commissioners Special Projects 101, 100, 101, 967, 000. And the reason I don't want to split it is I call Chris Shear all the time. So the Western Township calls have been ongoing and will continue.
I thought you were going to table this issue today.
Yeah, I'm gonna recommend tabling it. This is, I need some further, actually, I'm not.
You're gonna say.
Yeah, I need some further information. One question I have is we have a year, we had some portion of this original project done already. And so how much consulting service do we need continued on the 7 eastern townships as opposed to the original part? And I don't fully understand the scope. We haven't even had a proposal for the 4 western townships to even know what's required there. So I don't have nearly enough information to be comfortable. What was our contract last year for him? What was the amount there?
The contract last year that was paid was 74. If I'm correct on the budget, it looks like actually it was 122,912 is what the 2023 amended budget was. So 122,912.
I can help with that, Doug. In 2022, when I was the finance director, I was brought in when they were going to consult with him. And I believe it was 160,000 and it encompassed 18 months. Is that correct? Yeah, it's close. So you actually started consulting with him in February of 2022. And then the contract, and you consulted with him prior to that with ARPA funds, where he drew the map and such. And then when you entered the contract with broadband, he was brought in as the consultant then.
So 160,000 for 18 months is probably 8,500 a month. So he's expecting, I mean, 6 to 12 months is an odd number for 96. I mean, I am not comfortable with the amount on the 7 eastern townships. I think it's too much money.
I will tell you that we are 1/3 of the way done with that Eastern County project. Chris has worked constantly, and the project would have failed And we also would have been asked to increase our funding to point where they would have backed out. I believe it would be very imprudent to not continue with our relationship on our existing point contract with Chris, because I don't think the project would get done without it. I am a little bit concerned about approving these together because we have not had a contract for the Four Western, and I hope we do, and I hope we have those numbers yet this week. But until we approve a project, I don't know how we can approve a consultant to that project. So,
You know, I do want to say about that, though, is that he is working constantly on the Western. It's just that he hasn't really been paid. I mean, if we get a contract, it's gonna be because of what he has never stopped doing. He made a resolution a few months ago to no longer work weekends. And this man has worked. And he has been up here countless times. If a road comes up that he doesn't recognize, he drives up for the weekend and drives the roads. If we get a contract, the work for the Western Townships, I have to tell you, he has worked hours and hours and hours and days and weeks on just to figure out what we need. And he has done the negotiations. He's done so many of the negotiations. So basically, he's never stopped working on the Western Township, and he's finally billing us for it.
Commissioner Butler and then Commissioner Russ.
Okay, kind of a, not really put in order, but I kind of heard table it. I heard division of the question, and I think we also have the option of moving this forward. So,
I didn't hear a second to the table.
I actually didn't make a motion to that effect. I just said this discussion.
heard the concept of table.
But I would.
Do you want to divide the question? Do you want to have him come and speak to us Tuesday? What would make you
I
happy?
think so myself. That's just one commissioner, but I guess if we're tabling it, I don't even need to split it. We can do that at the regular meeting,
So move
correct?
forward perhaps rather than.
So I would make a
Have to
motion
untable.
to look forward to the regular meeting.
Support.
I need to check my Roberts because we've got a motion on the floor.
Well, yes, yeah, you're right.
So I think we have to take action on that motion. We could divide that question. Or we could defeat that motion.
Or I could amend it by tabling.
Right.
So instead of making a motion, I would move to amend the existing motion and move it forward until the next.
And ask Chris to be.
Yes.
And then do I have a second?
Yes.
So we
Discussion,
are gonna move it forward, we just want more information.
Exactly.
Any further
We sure
discussion on the
cannot.
amendment? Yes, Commissioner Russ.
Yeah, it says it's a proposal for a fixed fee, and then underneath that, it's a couple of sentences that still I don't quite understand. So it sounds like we would pay monthly, or would we invoice monthly, 13,000. But then the remaining, we still have to provide a lump sum, even if they complete the work by 6 months, June of 2024. I guess I don't understand. That means that we're basically saying we'll pay them $156,000 regardless of when the project ends. But it'll come back to us if it goes beyond that and ask for more money.
Right.
And I'm going to reflect on the contract that you're finishing, or the 160,000 that we're talking about. It was two down payments. I think there was a 20 and a 40. No, two 20s, leaving a balance of $120,000, which in the agreement was to divide that over 20 months, I believe. We have the last payment in accounts payable. It could be in here. It's going to be in next claims. It just came yesterday to pay off that contract of 160. And that was, I think he's got 2 cabinets done, 3 and 9. correct? Oh,
And 3, I think this week.
oh, okay, I didn't know about the third one, but that's okay. But I think I recall conversation before I became what I am now for you, in that he's going to fulfill the terms of that contract, but I don't want to say work for no money, but that, I mean, that 160,000 was for a set number of contracts. Am I correct, Deb?
I believe that is correct.
Yeah, so that's all I can tell you about that. This proposal, it sounds very much in line with how his company works with it. He'll have a fixed number that he's presented. I'm just talking, he'll probably ask for a down payment and monthly payments. That just seems to be what he does, and I'm talking just money, not what he's gonna do for you.
So echo, it does, when it, basically, if I read that, it's like, for 6 months, it's 96,000. And if it's 12 months, it's 96,000. So we're gonna pay for 12 months, no matter how quickly it gets done. So when I look at that wording, I'm not advocating at all to switch horses, don't get me wrong. I think he's, that just particular wording and pricing, is problematic.
Let's have him come next week on Zoom and talk to it. But I would say that if we don't have Chris, the project will not succeed.
And we will have spent a lot of money.
Without
No, it's just a little.
If I need to get it done ASAP.
I just had a question in regards to the budget, because I noticed that we had proposed, I believe, 122,912 for the 2024 proposed budget. But I see that when I look at that budget, it was reduced to 15,000, and I wasn't sure what the rationale for that was.
Well, I think the line item of 122 was the 23 amount, and that encompassed the payments that we're paying Chris Sheriff for 23's expenditures. We had no contract going into the budget approval, and we reduced it to 15, so that when you got a contract, I have a sticky note in my budget book that when you get a contract, we'll amend 24 for whatever contract you do. We budget for things we know. We don't budget for things we don't know. Oh, we did. We knew this was coming, but the dollar amount,
Better number in
well,
I can just help clarify this for just a second. So when this comes through in June, and then we bring, and then Kathy and Sean brought this to you, if there isn't any classification that was given by the administrator or nothing on Sean's desk to state that you had something you were going to be paying, it reverts back to prior years. So we actually had to go back to 2021 because an agreement started in 2022. But this budget typically under special projects for the board is 15,000. So at the time the budget was produced, there was no information provided to either Kathy, myself, or I believe Sean, because it was never expressed to Kathy and I, that you were going to be negotiating into 2024.
And I believe that would have been a teachable moment for the clerk and the chief deputy clerk to assist in educating the process. So with that being said, I think we have an opportunity
We
to move
talked
forward.
about it at budget time though.
Yeah.
We had a lot of discussion about this at budget.
We did your budget line by line that day, Deb, in August.
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you're gonna point it out. I think it's an opportunity
Oh.
for communication, not
I'm
just.
sorry,
"Oh,
I
didn't know.
No,
Okay.
my apologies. I thought you were pointing out the differences. That's why I clarified. I
Thank you,
apologize.
thank you.
Just brief discussion, I think there's also an idea that because of the immense amount of front end loading work that needs to be done on a project like this, it was reasonable for us to expect that completion of that project when it gets just to construction maintenance. All I'm doing is overseeing things now. I have gotten through the permitting, I've gotten through all the work, I had to do the funds and the things that would expect a lesser amount on the tail of this project than the front. And thus my heartburn with the amount here. Not to call it work done, but these is just like, it's like any project, there's a ton of engineering, there's a ton of preliminary work, then you just have to administer the project. So that's also my thought of why I don't have a problem with the way that it worked out, other than this seems like too much money.
So can we ask Chris to maybe speak to that to us too, why this number is where it is?
So we have an amended motion on the table. All those in support of the motion to move this forward and everybody fix to the meeting next week, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion amendment approved 7-0. Now all of those in favor of the original motion as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Didn't hear everybody on that one.
I was confused, I'm sorry.
We had to approve the amendment and then we
Okay,
have to.
aye, sorry.
All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved 7-0. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the administrator performance evaluation process, and
Don't we have? Okay. Gotcha.
we're now on 13B. I did ask Laurel to send you all by email yesterday a cover memo that summarized the conversation that we had between Deb and me and between me and Matt about the administrative review process. That is scheduled for the year end. Deb's been here now a year. I did reach out to Matt and I have provided in the packet that was mailed to you the email that Matt responded back to me with suggestions about the administrator evaluation. That's in the packet that was sent to you. I also attached the performance appraisal instrument that Matt suggested we use. And that is in your packet. And I also attached to the packet a sample letter from the attorney firm that would come back to us with a summary of the evaluation if we chose to ask him to do that, and he has said he will. And then I also have attached a copy of an email dated 11/29/23. I see the clerk looking. 11/29/23, which was a summary of Deb's response to me after we talked through what Matt had sent to me. So what I'm looking for is approval to proceed with that timetable, with January receiving information and February having back a review, a summary of that report back to Deb in a closed session if she wants an evaluation. And that's all spelled out in that email that was sent to you.
I would move to approve the timeline and resources as presented by the chairman for the review of our.
Support.
Any discussion?
Sorry.
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I will proceed then with that timeline. We will work with Deb in getting forms out. Could I ask if you're comfortable with me involving Matt Northick in summarizing the evaluations that he receives from us and doing a report back? He has said he typically does that for counties on request. I feel comfortable with that.
You need a motion to that effect.
I could be helpful.
I would move.
Wasn't that part of the plan though, or no?
Thought it was.
I took it to be as part of the plan, no?
If everybody's clear with that.
I'm clear. I thought that's what we said.
Okay.
I thought that's what we said.
I will proceed. Thank you. Deb, you want to say anything about that?
No, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Next on the list is a late edition by Gwen.
I would recommend to the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners that we approve the Energy Futures Task Force to write and submit a grant to the MPSC. There is a grant up, and so that's the motion. Where's the grant?
We have no.
For what? I
Do we have it?
don't think this is
Where's
what
the
we-
grant?
what do we have?
It's a grant.
Did we get a copy of it or?
This is just to refer it to the Energy Task Force. They referred it to Deb.
It was
And
inside
Deb
us.
sent it back to us and said, but we need to approve
Them
them.
writing one, and then they would submit their application to us for approval before it's submitted to the state.
Yes.
They just wanted our approval to begin writing the grant because there's it's from the Michigan Public Service Commission and it is due in the first week of February.
Right.
And they thought that getting our approval in January.
We don't know what they want to ask for.
Well, it'll come back to us. This is
Yeah,
just to
time
refer it to them and then it'll come back to us for approval.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I'm still trying, I guess,
I
we
just
can't
wanna
get,
make
we
sure.
can't, we can't get to, discussion without somebody seconding it, right?
Right, otherwise this, it just fails for a second, and then you can talk all you want on this.
Commissioner Russ.
This is the first time hearing of it, and I'm on the committee.
Yeah.
I'm on the task force, so I'm a little concerned about that. So if there's no rush, I would rather, give us the information, let us make a
Thank you.
educated
And we have a
decision.
motion to move it forward to next week because there is a rush for the timetable from the Michigan Public Service Commission they need end of January grant application submitted. The committee is just asking for permission to begin writing something that they would submit to us. And we could have details of that for you by next week if you would agree to move it forward.
It
I would
just,
move it, we move it forward. But we do have a meeting on Thursday, so it would be nice to,
But we need to be able to move it forward today, so it's on next week's agenda.
we have a
But
meeting on
on
Thursday,
Thursday,
so
yeah.
it would be nice to bring it to the group that, yes, we did approve it or not approve it. I just don't know why it wasn't sent to us.
I can just tell you that I received communication from Joe DeForce on Friday, December 1st.
Okay.
So with this issue, and the request was for Ty and I to meet with him. Ty and I have not had the opportunity to do that. So the communication was basically to Ty and I both, as well as Russ Packard, to formally put this forward at today's meeting.
And then I asked that we just take it, talk it at our Thursday meeting of the task force and then bring it, like you said, on Tuesday.
Bring the details, I'm looking for detail.
right.
Does that make sense?
Well, we will.
In order to
just-
do that, we'll need a motion to move it forward.
Yes.
I partially have what I need, but I want to
Second
second.
first, or
It's not seconded.
Okay, it's fine, but I just thought.
I would move to move the, item number
I already
14
made that
FDIC.
motion.
Did you?
Yes.
But no one seconded it.
Second.
Well, her motion wasn't to move it forward, you're just saying. move it
Yes, it
forward.
No, yeah, the second motion was to move it
Oh, a
forward.
second motion.
We moved and seconded it. We moved
Hang on.
this forward to next week, giving the committee an opportunity to talk about it on Thursday. All those in support of that motion to move it forward, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Who was the official seconder?
I believe.
Okay.
I would ask again, I didn't count those. All those in support of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We now are down to review of finance. Okay.
And behind that clipped motor pool thing, I just gave you the handouts I provided that the finance committee had yesterday. It's all informational. We didn't really do anything except discuss what was on them. And it's just for your information to stay updated with regard to the fact that you adopted an operational budget and you still have capital outlay considerations, which is, something like the contract with DCS, those type of things. So that is a hanging fire thing in a few areas. And you knew that when you approved your operating budget before Thanksgiving. And I'm also sending you your updated ARPA balance sheet and your updated drainage district overview through October. So you kind of know what monies we have fronted since the inception of those projects. So any questions on the claims and accounts?
Did you get my email last night?
I'm sorry, I did not. Did you have a specific question?
had
I was in payroll till 7 o'clock.
I am sorry, because I'm also looking for my email right now. I had 3 in claims and accounts.
Okay.
That, I know one was like the very first thing. All right. Okay, first was the veteran services, Ace Welding. Is that for the flagpoles? Are they working down there moving flagpoles? Okay.
Yeah, that was the first bill on the grant that Administrator Allen and Michael Ruff were able to secure. And that's the first bill, $95.
Okay, second one was page 3. And it was animal control. for community cats of BOC County. And we are spaying and neutering feral cats.
Yes. And
we had some discussion a few years back about that, when we had a request to clean out a shed in Empire Village that had feral cats in it, and we, I believe, did that, even though I didn't support it. And thought it was quite a slippery slope of going around all the barns in Leelanau County and spaying and neutering the cats, because if this is where we're going, I think and start saving a lot of people money.
And I would be happy to reach out to Under Sheriff and Deputy Kelchik. I can tell you how many tabbies, and I mean, I can tell you the kind of cats, but I can also tell you
whether it's
that,
1 or 20, it's $305 we spent spaying and neutering somebody's cats.
well, the bill was actually 805, and BOC County, I believe, paid the other 500. Let me look.
Why?
Going back and forth between.
There was a study done on how much time the cats spend with Leelanau.
Yeah.
Somebody saw their puppies.
So a third of the time it's in Leelanau, the rest of the time they're in BOC.
And I'm sorry, I'm not going to really claim that BOC County spent, but there is, First Point Mobile Home Community Management pledged $500 to cover spay, neuter, expensive feral cats. Remaining balance will be billed to Leelanau Animal Control once payment has been received from Park Management. So First Point Mobile Home Community Management paid $500 toward the 805. That's the limit of my knowledge on this, so.
Maybe for the January meeting, we could have animal control person come in and talk through the procedure.
Well,
We're approving the payment though, right?
well, it's in here if we move to approve it, and my guess is it's already been done. My concern is the precedent we're gonna set. I know as remembering some of the discussion from the past, people have a cute little cat, pretty soon the cat's expecting, pretty soon they got a litter of kittens, and what do? They drive out in the country and pitch them off.
In front of a farm, right?
Bingo. So pretty soon you got a barn full of cats. I can't afford to spay and neuter, so, and I'm one of 1,000 barns in the county, so if we're gonna start spaying and neutering cats, this is a great deal. So that's my concern. Now, if there's a reason for it, that the taxpayers have to pay for these cats to be spayed and neutered, where are the cats? Are they put up for adoption? Are they still in the barn? Are they? We just have some questions.
Get an answer before next Tuesday.
I can get you an answer.
Yeah.
I definitely
Great.
can. And I apologize for shooting from the hip with BOC County. I just saw BOC County.
I thought that it came out of BOC County. That was
The company is called Community Cats of BOC County.
I did, but I can't find my email. I sent Kathy last night, so.
I'll respond to your email. Shall I respond to all?
Yeah, I'll respond to
Commissioner
all.
Wagner? Okay.
The other question was out of post audit. And now I know what we did with our kayaks. We shrunk wrapped our kayaks. Leelanau boat, we're shrink wrapping our kayaks that we took out of our basement. Okay, just want everybody to be aware of that, and I'm sure you all saw it. Second thing was, as I was going through post audit, was GFL, and just this morning I heard that they had some kind of a billing question with some kind of an invoicing issue, I should say, last month, because they've raised their rates, but it sounds like they maybe billed for 2 months. And so they've got, they set a computer glitch, so they're gonna have to go back. We should just check all our invoices and make sure they're 1 month, or if they're 2, let's not pay next month.
I can assure you that my account clerk is on GFL's invoices like no other. She knows they have glitches upon occasion, and she is doing an excellent job watching those.
Okay. Last thing was, why all the fingerprinting receipts?
I was actually for the board last month, and when a couple months ago, if you remember, the sheriff came before you and got the price of fingerprinting increased. But when we were at a training, what we learned is the MCL that governs fingerprinting for CPLs couldn't be increased to that, I think it was 20 or 25. So we went through and made a list because we collect that fee over in my office and we had to reimburse the difference, which was $5 per, wasn't it $5?
Yeah,
$5 per, and that's why.
Times about 20.
And that's why we had.
Was it 50? Well,
We're gonna start in 2024, hopefully taking fingerprints in my office, which is an agreement with the sheriff's office.
Okay, all right, well, that's it. So,
Commissioner
thank
Ross.
you.
I just had a question on page, appraisal accounts. Page 4 or 5, Kent County Treasurer, $8,900.
That was the one. That was the
Okay.
third one, yes.
I'm so pleased because the treasurer's here. He can answer that because it was an invoice out of his office.
It's a Van, with Van Buren County, right? Is that the one? Candace?
Yes, correct.
Class action lawsuit, it's our appropriation of the bill.
Why are we, who's suing who?
We didn't ring a bell when I read it.
Oh, that's fine.
Kenton Van.
Do you need a
Buren.
copy of it, Jen?
No, it's fine. It's our class action lawsuit that's been going on for a few years against county treasurers. County treasurers are being challenged through their foreclosure process on proceeds.
Oh, that's the one. Sure, okay.
So
So we had to pay,
that's our share.
we had to pay this amount, $8,900.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
okay.
budget?
Not in the budget, but it was in my fund balance.
Do you expect that kind of
No,
number to be coming through again?
no, this is an anomaly for sure.
Is it over or is it in process?
I'd like to say it's over, but every time we get to the finish line, it seems like there's another legal proceeding that rears its head. So I don't know what to anticipate. But I do know that, their arguments are attempting to recover their fees at this point. So the attorneys in the battle are confident that the treasurers are going to proceed over the class action in this. So I hope that there's little to no more, exposure to it.
Did we as a board or the past board obviously entered into an agreement with this law firm?
MMRMA is the one that represents us for this, and Alan Vanderlin, I want to believe, is our attorney acting on our behalf. So this is through a few years ago. The administrator and I worked with MMRMA to get an attorney to represent the county. The funding is coming from the tax foreclosure funds because that's the most appropriate place for it. But that's the basis of it at this point.
Any other questions for Ken?
No, but for John, that was a sad situation. The gentleman basically lost his home for $12 in fees he didn't realize were
Yes,
hanging out there. Did he ever get his home? Was he ever made whole?
he was made whole through the court.
Oh,
The court awarded him the excess proceeds.
the excess proceeds is all.
Yes. So it may not
Replace
have,
his home.
no, did not replace his home.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you assured us that you would never let that happen in Leelanau County. Thank you
I'm
for
working
that.
on it.
All right.
Thank you, Kathy. That takes us now to our second public comment, and thank you for attending, and please come up and talk to us.
No, we have special reports first. Oh, yes, special reports.
Are there any special reports?
The lady in the front row.
Oh.
She said she wanted to circle around back for the.
Oh, that's right.
I have something written by that.
So I just want to keep you up to date in case you have questions as we go on this early voting site. So we did get that email I referenced earlier. It looks like they're going to fund everything at what percentage, they told us we can go ahead and start buying supplies and things that we need, and I've already started to do that. But there were just a couple things that I wanted to touch on with you. Early voting, the presidential primary was finally set, and it's going to be February 27th. And early voting in this room will start set up on the 16th. We will have some time trials to see how it goes before then. I'm gonna have some township clerks come up here because this seemed to be the room that, as a whole, the commissioners were more comfortable with me using, especially on the weekends. And so we are blocked off. So we start on Saturday, the 27th, and early voting continues through Sunday, February 25th. And we work right through that holiday. So it's Saturday till the following Sunday. We'll probably clean up on Monday. Part of the reason we're going to have to do a time trial is on Tuesday, the 20th, it's a Board of Commissioners meeting. And I'm going to have this room set up as a precinct, which is not necessarily, these chairs and everything would be down because the people have to experience. So I need to know, because early voting is going to be consistent every single day from 9 in the morning till 5 at night. And your meeting starts at 7. So I'm going to have to see logistically how this works, because I don't know if we can live stream from the basement or not. I mean, I know we've done it for political things, live stream, but I don't know about your board. So it will be one of those things that we are going to try.
Would live streaming be the only hiccup? Because we don't, by mandate, have to live stream, correct?
No, but it's in your rules. And it helps us with the recording system. I mean, we have the
But we
recording
still
system.
couldn't record, correct? Set our rules.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, I'm just.
Worst
thinking.
case scenario, we are going to do a time trial. I'm going to be setting time up to meet with the administrator, because we are going to need some help from maintenance. We also need to be aware that we're open on Saturday, Sunday, and a holiday. We need to make sure the parking lot is plowed, not plugged. We want people to show up.
That was a Freudian slip. Right?
Lights on. Oakland County just had an election, and they were a test county in November. They had a 24% turnout for a relatively small election, and about 2% of the 24 used the early voting site. I don't think we're going to see those numbers in February like we may in August and November.
So when does it start again?
It will start on Saturday, February 17th. And our planning commission, this will be new for our planning commission, election commission, which is the probate judge, the county treasurer, and myself. We have some testing of ballots we're going to be doing in a public venue that will be advertised in the paper for the public to observe. We're also going to be the ones that appoints the election workers for this. And I am working with the township clerks, and everything is very date specific. The county will be paying these workers, and then we will be getting reimbursement from the state and from the townships for them. The one thing I was wondering if no one would be opposed to, I mean, because I know it's a sensitive issue about reserving parking spots, but for these days, because we've taken elections from one day that we don't normally host here to 27. And I was thinking, we have our handicap section over here, and I mean, there's more over on this side, but I was wondering if maybe 3 spots on the end of this parking lot right here, I could put a sign up, reserved for voters. If anyone would find that, I mean, it would give me then 6 spots, just so, I mean, I don't want to see some of them going way down there, and I want to make it convenient in the event we have curbside voting, if anyone needs curbside voting. I don't want our workers also going all the way.
Sure. I have no problem.
Down there. Okay, so that's okay with you. Let's see here. We're going to be sending out notifications to every registered voter in the county. We only have to do it once to notify them that this will be the early voting site in 2024. We're going to be getting new computers from the state of Michigan, which I'm going to talk to Leanna about, because we were told that it's extremely difficult with all the security to get it up and ready the way we need it to. So we're going to need her assistance with that. And let's see here. I think that's all I really wanted to tell you about. It's just gonna be continuous moving forward. The township clerks will help in any way they can, because obviously this is reducing their costs. And so at least we're moving forward on this, and that was, good news from the state. At least any money we can get back, since it's a constitutional amendment, there's nothing we can do. So does anyone have any questions for me or anything they'd like me to research on the topic?
No, thank you for this work.
Okay, and I'll just report back to you, and like I said, Deb and I will get together here in the next week or two.
Don't plug up the driveway.
No, oh,
Gets out.
but yeah, you did bring, so in a normal world, every day, this is not a precinct. There is no campaigning on this campus. That doesn't mean the Republicans or the Democrats can't have meetings in the building. However, for those dates of early voting, it switches this to a precinct, which means you will see signs out there that say early voting site. You will see some signs that say no campaigning within 100 feet, but you will potentially see campaign signs on the county government property because it is now a precinct, and under the law, that's allowable. So don't be going and pulling them out. And if it's a worker that's got a sticker on their car, they're going to be 100 feet away, and we're going to monitor that, to make sure we don't break that 100-foot barrier. And we're going to watch where our pollsters are and our exit challengers are. And this will be what governs our 100 feet is this front door here. So I did want to mention that because normally we would not allow. I mean, people can put whatever they want on their cars and keep them out there because that's just a good way to get advertisement. But we're going to make sure that they're outside of that 100 feet unless they're just coming in to vote.
Got a sticker police then?
We do.
Gonna be a stipend for that?
Can they what? Slap you for that? Well, you always call the county clerk first when you have someone violating. And sometimes, we just want to go out and do our little 100-foot marker. And then if they don't want to listen to us, we'll call you guys to come and help us.
Did you want to say something?
No, nothing relates to.
Yeah, okay.
I just wanted to remind everyone that tomorrow is the League of Women Voters Holiday Luncheon. They typically host that here at the Government Center from noon until 1:30. And all the commissioners and the county government staff are invited to attend.
And you're giving some sort of. Yeah. Do we have to have told them we're coming?
No, they prepare, I think, they didn't say anything about RSVP.
Okay.
So
But they did ask us to bring something. Cookies or something?
I will send out an email as soon as I get confirmation on that, because I just asked Laurel for the confirmed date.
Any other special reports?
Yes. Yeah, commissioner reports?
Any special reports by staff, commissioners, or agencies? Yes.
So yesterday I was in Oscoda and toured the dam in Oscoda. And it's interesting because there's a big article in the Red Eagle about the 13 hydroelectric plants that Consumers has in this state. And they are up for relicensing in 11 years. Those dams, the dam that I toured was put in 1911. Hydroelectric is a very inefficient way to generate power. When they run 2 of their wheels, they can generate about 30 megawatts of power. They have done a financial analysis and it's all in the paper, but it supports millions of dollars to the communities where these are. One of the considerations would be to eliminate the dams, which would have a huge effect on the people who live on the rivers. All of the recreational activities, the lakes that have been there for 100 years, the communities, they support millions in funds to communities and the tax base. So it's a big issue. Their budget every year is $9.8 million for 13 hydroelectric dams. It would take them, these are over 100 years old, cost them $8 billion to bring them all up to speed. They would rather not do it. They're putting out RFPs, but that's a real, you don't want to send these to a hedge fund because you're gonna have a Midland issue. So that's just an issue right now. Does that become a DNR thing to maintain all of these recreation areas and districts and lakes and rivers, and I mean, it's a big thing. So it was extremely interesting. And that was with the Northern Michigan Counties Association, right?
Other reports? Now we're at public comment, and thank you for coming, and yes, come forward, please.
Harry Stephens, precinct delegate, Leland Township. An interesting meeting today, guys. Wow, usually it's pretty boring in here. Anyway.
Don't remember that.
I guess first I just want to say I've got a medical procedure coming up. And I don't know if I'll be at the next meeting. So I hope that my not being here doesn't have any kind of negative reflection on my desire to be on that board. Okay, okay.
Put you on 2 or 3 more.
Okay. I just want to bring to your attention a couple of news headlines that you may not be aware of. First of all, down in Georgia, a federal judge ruled that there's sufficient evidence in the 2020 election that the machines were rigged, and that anybody who says anything about that 2020 election is not a conspiracy theorist. Okay. Now, this judge is going to have a hearing on January 9th. And what exactly she's going to decide at that hearing, I'm not real clear, but it looks to me like there's a possibility that Georgia might be the first state to get rid of the voting machines and go to paper ballots. So that's one headline. The other headline I want you to be aware of is, I guess I'll just call it Mike Lindell's team, that the election integrity people that are going around, they're going around county by county. So there's something like 3,000 counties, over 3,000 counties in the United States. And after the teams have come to these counties, they get the commissioners to vote on whether or not they want to get rid of the machines or keep them. Well, so far, 200 counties out of the 3,000, 200 counties have gone paper ballots for 2024. So they're getting rid of their machines and going to paper ballots. So I'm telling you guys, this issue is not going away. 70% of the American people believe that something was wrong with that 2020 election. And we want justice. We want some people to answer for this. It's the biggest election crime in our country's history. And something's got to be done about it. Anyway, it's going to keep coming back. So you guys need to keep this on your mind. Anyway, I got to go see Amber. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good luck with your medical procedure.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Yes, Steve.
Good afternoon. There was a discussion today about stipends. We have a range of people on this commission that vow never again to use stipends for whatever purposes. And
Thank you. Any other public comment? Yes.
Carrie Onan, Centerville Township. Centerville's Planning Commission meeting didn't get finished until 11 o'clock at night last night. So, yeah, but I know you guys, thank you guys for all your work, because I'm just feeling a bit like I think you already feel a lot. So, Mr. Stephen brings up an interesting point. He spoke rather quietly, and I have been monitoring these videos, and you still can't hear a lot of times, including me, and I know better, so I'll try to speak up. But can I get a accurate written version of what he said so that I could catch or really study what he just said? I don't know who am I asking you? Okay.
So I think we can probably do that after the meeting for you. Yeah.
Oh,
and we did look, if I could, we did look into the speakers, and the one right here to the end isn't working. So we're getting a replacement.
Oh.
And that's our issue.
Okay. Okay. I can hear all of you just fine, but yeah, okay, great. So it's just a mic. Oh, cool. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. And on what I thought I was going to come up, but I was very interested in what he said as well. It's our understanding that, wait, let me see. Sorry. Though we're well aware our drain commissioner is an elected official, it's our understanding that this board of elected officials continues to hold the purse strings. I haven't done the homework. Maybe I'm mistaken on that. And he really is a little fiefdom all on his own. If that's the case, yeah, we need to rethink how we approach that elected office. So that's just a comment, I think, but whether it's potential overspending through our elected drain commissioner, if that does fall on you, or any other financial asks that continually come to you guys every single meeting, please remind us as frequently as possible that that you guys work for us and that that's our money you're spending. Because that seems to feel lost on 6 out of the 7. I hear it pretty consistently from one of you. But we really want to hear that you guys are considering that with every decision, not just considering the needs, but remembering who's put foot in the bill and who's paying for those. So I thank you for that. Also, please tell us why you're choosing to ask MSU for advice. This might be directed to Commissioner Rexroad, I'm not sure, on how to structure our local government. How did you decide to turn to them? And what other source of advice are you seeking? And other than MSU, are you seeking a balanced input to make your decisions on how to structure the government? If I understood that topic correctly, please forgive me moving forward. When I miss a meeting, I know I come in and ask a question you might have just answered. So forgive me for that. And of course, I understand this is not a back and forth. So if someone can let me know where I can go to get that info, that'd be really appreciated. So let's see. Oh, and the admin performance evaluation process. Commissioner Wessel in item 13B mentioned someone named Matt. See my request for forgiveness. I am not remembering or do not know who Matt is by his first name only. So I want to find out where, not only who can we find out who that is, but where I can get more info on Matt if he's advising you on this admin performance evaluation process. I think that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comment? We have a smaller group now than we did at 9 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming today. Any commissioner comments?
I would just like to invite everyone to holiday cheer. Northport is a pretty special community, represents all, like our Leelanau County, but they're putting on a wonderful Christmas concert on Sunday at 3 p.m. and I'll be there. I will be there, I know that too, but just help us celebrate what we all cherish about this place through music. So.
Any other commissioner comment? Yes.
I had a question. This is something I thought about after our meeting. We touched on it briefly. I'd asked a question about at our finance committee about I think we were talking about the posting for the planning commission, and I asked, I think it was the planning commission, where was it posted? And I think she said in-house and on our website. So I did want to ask about our process on that. So do we not put out to trade magazines when we generally look for?
Indeed.
Yeah, don't we use other forms? Generally, isn't that how, do we have a process, or do we just say, wow, well, this one we'll put in the house, or this one we'll put out there?
Well, I believe we do it in-house first, right? And then after that time limit is over, then we do put it out on several websites. That was my understanding. I don't know.
And I didn't catch the beginning of your question, what position specifically?
Well, I'm just talking about any position, but we were talking about it at finance, and it might have been planning I asked about, and they said it only went, I mean, we're looking for a planner, and it was in-house and on our web. Am I right?
It was IT director.
It was IT director, thank you. So IT director, we didn't put it out there. So I guess my concern then would be, so for our planning commissioner, was that put out in trade magazines?
I'll have to confirm and get with the personnel committee since Darcy's not here. I'm not sure what all resources were utilized, but we'll discuss it tomorrow at the personnel committee and then we'll report back.
And I think maybe getting a written document describing that process
I think
would
that'd
be
be
something that
helpful.
our committee can tackle or
Darcy's not.
I think we should be really uniform in the process. If we're looking at hiring, we're gonna be looking at a secretary across the street, et cetera. That's, I just was wondering about the process. It hit me about 2 a.m. after our meeting.
Yep.
And then housekeeping across the road. Our jail's looking a little bit shabby with those little vents. I don't know if all you are looking out there at those when I see sitting here, but they're all like leaking and it looks like algae, and so we need to spruce up our jail over there a little bit if somebody wants to call Stanley Steamer or something. So please.
We need to get 3 bids. before we do that.
Anything else, Melinda?
No, that was it.
Any other commissioner comments? Then we need some motions to approve some financials.
I would recommend approval of claims and accounts, $59,541.37 to date.
Or
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved 6-0.
And I would recommend we approve post audit to $2,578,435.38.
Or
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved 6-0.
motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.